kick it in. Saturday morning. Who could have ever imagined there's going to be a feud over this song being played at Donald Trump's inaugural? This was a gay anthem back when I was a disco jock, the Village People. So the People bailed out YMCA at Donald Trump's inauguration on Monday. There's a feud between the band's leader, founding members of the band, and people who do not want this song played for Donald Trump. We'll talk about it, but there it is, the Village People performing at Donald Trump's inauguration and the ongoing feud. Good morning, everybody. It's cold outside. It's Saturday morning, January 18th, 2025. Snow. It started to snow again. It's cold. -4 degrees tonight, 12 degrees on Sunday, -6 Sunday night, and Monday, 7 degrees and 8 below on Monday night. Now, joining us, coming out of the box, first hour is going to be a lot of folks, but the guys are with me. Bill and Jeff is in D.C. and Billy's here. So morning, both of you guys, and welcome back into the studio. So thank you. Jeffrey, where are you in Washington, D.C.?
Good morning, Pete. We're just outside the Beltway. We're about to head in and swing by Representative Boebert's office. So we're going to go say hi to her, and things are kicking off. Lots of red hats here in Washington, D.C. It's fun. A lot of energy.
How cold is it? Because it's cold here. How cold is it there?
Yeah. It's not too bad, 25, 30 degrees compared to where you guys are.
Well, that's not bad.
This polar vortex, whatever it is, it's hit, half the country, and the whole place is cold.
Well, it's supposed to be, they're moving it indoors on Monday.
Yeah. Because
it is going to be that cold. The last guy to be moved inside was Ronald Reagan. They moved Ronald Reagan inside.
That's right, 1985.
Yeah.
When it got cold, Trump saying he was concerned about the safety and well-being of his attendees, but it's thrown things into a little bit of chaos because you don't know if your tickets get you in or if they're just allowing anybody in, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna put Donald Trump, the rest of the folks inside the Capitol for the swearing in, all that stuff, and then he's gonna head to the Capital One Center. This is where the Wizards and the hockey team here in Washington, D.C. play, and then he's going to address about 20,000 people there. But that's it. That's all it fits, 20,000 people.
And then do you have inaugural ball? Do you have, because there's about a dozen of them, do you have tickets to a inaugural ball for that night?
We are going to the best tonight. So you have the big professional kind of presidential inaugural balls. Those tend to be reserved for the big donors, those types of folks. That wasn't the case in 2017. We were able to go in 2017 to one of those nice, fancy inaugural balls. This year, the tickets are real hard to get, but each one of the states, or many of the states, have their own inaugural balls as well, or they'll combine. So tonight is the best of the West. And so Montana, Wyoming, Utah, all the Western states get together. So my wife and I are putting on our fancy cowboy outfits and going to the best of the West, celebrate the Western United States.
Meet me in Montana. All right, my guy, Billy. Billy, what's this rub with the Village People? Can you explain this one?
Yeah. It basically, you outlined fairly well that the band and some of the other members are having an issue with the founding member and being not necessarily a supporter, but allowing Trump to embrace the song. And especially inside of the gay community, because that's been an anthem for so long.
Yeah.
It's almost like trying to rewrite part of their history. And so there's a lot of pushback, but also it seems more in the older gay community rather than some of the younger ones, because, they're the artists and musical tastes change. But it's also a revival moment for some of the stuff as far as the Village People. They're getting streamed more often in certain areas, certain demographics are now listening to more often simply because Donald Trump has sort of made it his anthem. For me, I find it ironic given how it was adopted and what the original kind of implied meaning was once the gay community did it, and the fact that Donald Trump seemed unaware of that. But again, he likes the song. It's a good song. I think that there's more than enough other type of, gay anthems they can adopt. We can go through half of Lady Gaga's early catalog. They've got other songs. I'm not worried about it.
But I think this is a prominent, and the guy's name, I started reading this last night. His name is Victor Willis.
Yeah.
And he was the cop. He portrayed the cop.
Yeah.
And he's now in his 70s, which makes your point that the village people. And one of the things that my daughter and I would do on Saturdays back when she was a little girl is we would go skating. And if you're
I did on Skate City. Oh yeah, absolutely. I did the YMCA while skating. I can do the arm movements. Yes. I can go all in with this one.
Jeffy,
I know the song so well. I can sing along.
Yeah, Jeffy, I don't know if you did that when you skated and they played the YMCA and you, with your hands, made the different. No, you made a Y and a C and an A.
And an A.
Yeah. And
and Skate City, that was the place to be, man, in the 90s, 80s and 90s.
Hey, spent a lot of time getting knocked on my rear end at Skate City. So now what's going to happen? So where will this be played? Is they're going to play it at the rally, Jeffy, after the swearing in? And they've got
a whole lot of activity. Starting tomorrow, they're doing their first rally at the Capital One Center. That's at, I believe, 3 p.m. on Sunday Eastern time. And then Monday, he's going to do the inauguration swearing in. Then you got all these balls. And last night, Snoop Dogg and Rick Ross were playing at the Crypto Ball, which was a ball to celebrate crypto technology and money and all that stuff. So, yeah, the stars seem to have come over to the Trump side of things.
Yeah, and Kid Rock, of course, who's been with them for a long time. Kid's going to perform, and there's a link between
Jason.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say Jason Aldean, Carrie Underwood. Yeah. So they've got quite a lineup.
It's really
Underwood is one that's created controversy. She's created a lot of controversy inside of the music community. The rest of them, not so much. Snoop does what Snoop does. Same thing with Rick Ross and Kid Rock. As far as modern relevancy, somewhat negligible, but Carrie Underwood is creating huge waves inside the music community.
Why, Billy?
Because she's viewed as kind of America's girl, and it seems like she's picking sides. And the problem that many of the liberal people are having inside the music community is that the assumption is you're one of them. And coming over and embracing the other side in this public way, even though she's never taken a political position nor said I support him, she's just trying to say I'm supporting America. And she's selling it as on brand of being kind of America's girl. And I think she's approached it properly. The backlash will catch her a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. I think some of the, how does she perform on stage? What is her outfit like? Things like that. So what's the presentation? That I think will be the final kind of ruling as far as whether or not she's accepted back in some, cocktail parties, etc. But that's it. The assumption was, hey, wait, you're supposed to hate him just like we do.
Well, it's interesting as a geek about the Kennedys, when Frank Sinatra threw his hat into the ring for Jack Kennedy, the only one that really did not was Dean Martin. And of course, Joe Kennedy ran Sammy Davis off. But by and large, the Rat Pack supported Jack Kennedy, helped him get elected. When Snoop came out and Kid Rock and all these, kind of edgy characters, I thought to myself, this is a very wise move by them. And now comes the Village People, who would be the last group. And I'll give you the last couple of comments. But if I were to say to you, hey, Billy, what 70s and 80s group do you think will come out and support Donald Trump? You would never say the Village People.
No. I could go 25 deep before I would have gotten to the Village People of all of them. The whole idea is that the imaginary me is figuring that at some point in Donald Trump's life, did he have a poster on the wall with a bunch of guys, one of which was wearing leather chaps? The other dude dressed as a cop. I'm like, when did that happen? What's that era in his life? So, it means something to him. So I'm happy that he has it, but I would never have guessed. There have been so many others that, would have been on that list. But yeah, it's a surprise. And again, I failed to see a lot of the anger. I understand why the older community feels as a betrayal, but you have so many other songs out there. I mean, pick anything by Elton John, please. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Yeah.
All right, Jeffrey, would you have ever seen this coming, the Village People?
Well, I know DJ T takes his playlist very seriously. If you've ever watched him at Mar-a-Lago, he controls the music. This is one of just the kind of quirky sides to him, right? He doesn't drink at all. He takes his music very seriously, and he's developed these friendships over the years. If you remember how big he was, such a big wig at NBC and this cash cow for years with the entertainment industry. So, he's a quirky guy. He's got these friendships. It does. Carrie Underwood's controversy reminds me a little bit of the Garth Brooks controversy when he played at the Biden inauguration. But look, it comes, it goes. But for the artist, I think it's a historical moment to say I got to play at the inauguration.
I think so too. Plus, it's going to boost them. They're going to make they'll make a lot of money out of this deal because they'll go on the road. All right, final two questions. Jeff, you're going to be gone for 3 days or 4?
That's right. We'll be broadcasting. I'll be doing Man on the Street tomorrow. Monday. Sorry. We're trying to figure out exactly what that's going to look like. If we can be in Capital One, we're trying to get the media passes. Everything's kind of up in the air right now. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll be broadcasting live from the Heritage Foundation here in Washington, D.C. as members of Congress come over, including the Douglas County delegation. The county commissioners are out here, including George Brockler and Darren Weekly, and all those folks are out here as well. So those guys will be swinging by. It's going to be a ton of fun. And then, Charlie Kirk, Larry Elder, they're all covering the inauguration. 710 KNUS is the place to be for all the inside information on the inauguration of Donald Trump.
Wow. Who's your favorite Village person?
That's a good question.
The cowboy.
The one that does the M. Yeah, the cowboy.
The cowboy.
That's right.
And Billy,
That's right, Pete.
Which one's yours?
It seems very weird, but there was the construction worker. If I had to be one of them, that was the guy.
Yeah, there he is. I was always. I had the biker. Billy's got the construction worker.
I was never cool enough to be the biker. That was always like, no, I wasn't that cool.
And Jeffy's the cowboy because you had to be one of them. You put him on.
Oh, you had
to. It's interesting. We just got a text message. Is anybody on this radio station going to highlight that Trump is the only president to have been pro-gay marriage prior to running and remaining while in office? And I forgot that. And he said, of course not. Typical for Saturday mornings on 710.
I hope they feel better.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, so Billy, you're going to anchor here. And
I'm going to be here. Yeah, and we'll see what happens. Things are sort of up in the air as far as the full-time plan on Monday. We'll see. Might have some surprises. I basically, like you talking today, want to talk about expectations.
Yeah.
What are people looking for? How do you judge this to be a success? What do you think the pitfalls are? And I'm also curious about what the Democrats might do about this, because for a party that spent months and months and months yelling at us about the end of democracy, they seem remarkably nonplussed about Donald Trump being inaugurated. Where's the danger? Where's the warnings? I don't know why it flipped 180 degrees, unless maybe it was just election talk and they weren't serious about it. So we'll explore that on Monday.
Jeffrey, your final thoughts.
Yeah, but we got Caldera helping us out on Monday as well. And for us being here, the energy, the excitement, we're going to be talking to people on the street, connecting with them, why they came in. But yesterday, my cab driver, who's from the Kashmir region of Pakistan, he was exhausted of Joe Biden, ready for a change in the economy. The dude that checked me into the hotel, ready for a change. I have not run into a single pro-Biden person yet. Everybody in this town was tired of Joe Biden. They're excited for changes in the economy. So we'll be talking about that as well.
What was one of the great lines? They said, you and your cab driver who picks you up at Dulles have something in common. You're both going to see Washington, D.C. for the first time.
That's exactly right. That's where we got picked up yesterday.
Dulles. All right, you guys, I'll be listening. I think everybody else will be tuned in as well. It's going to be, the ride begins, and it really begins. The mass deportation program that's supposed to, as allegedly to begin in this morning's Wall Street Journal, the headline, Trump to begin large-scale deportations on Tuesday.
So the rumor is he's got something planned in Chicago.
Yeah. So it's going to get good. And it is good to have both of you guys there. So Jeff's in D.C., Billy's here, and the next 4 or 5 days is going to rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm seeing this thing on the side of my window here that tells the temperature is in -3. So I'm a little jealous of where Jeff is right now.
Yeah, well, hang on. It's where they're on 6 to 10, Monday through Friday. And again, the weather's going to turn on, it's going to turn on Jeff too. So we'll all be living in it. So you guys have been doing such a great job, and I really appreciate coming on this morning with you guys and what you've been able to do for me as well. So be safe. Love you both. Be careful. And Billy, you got this end. And it's just going to be good stuff. It's going to be great radio.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it really will.
Love you, Pete. Have a wonderful day.
All right, guys. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, fellas. All right.
Thank you, brother.
Saturday morning, January 18th, 2025, 710 KNUS Weather Center weather. It's going to be cold, and it's snowing outside. It's 15 degrees, 4 degrees below tonight. Sunday, 6 degrees below. Do you want to, because we've got 2 minutes to break. All right, so coming up, Mike Boyle is coming on the radio show. And then I've been requested by some folks from Douglas County. There's a Make-A-Wish program. So this young woman, Paige, is going to join us, and how the Make-A-Wish is all going to work. And she'll join Mike and I on the show. Then Charles Johnson, CJ, on the passing of Coach Mack. And now, and also when we got him on the show, I was thinking, well, I'll sneak one in on him and ask him about Coach Prime going to Texas. So we do that. And then Abdullah is coming on, who is Palestinian. We'll talk about that. And then we'll go into open lines on Donald Trump and what you now expect. So what do we have? A minute. We have people on the phones. Let's just take the break. It is going to be, and it is cold, and I think you know that, but I'm looking at my chart here. It says -4, -6, -8. It's going to be -8 on Monday night. Oh, good. And then it starts to work its way up to 12 degrees on Tuesday night. All right, why don't we get us out of here a little bit, and we'll come back with Mike Boyle, and then this young woman will do Make-A-Wish, and then swing into Charles Johnson. We'll get into some serious conversation as well. Hold on your hats. 710 KNUS. We are Denver's talk station. Play it for Katie, the all-time lonely song of being a rodeo cowboy, Amarillo by morning. 7:10 KNUS, it's a Saturday morning, and it's cold. It's cold and snowy and -4 tonight, -6 tomorrow night. I'll let you know. I'm Peter Boyles. Good morning, everyone. It's January 18th, 2025, 710 KNUS Denver's Talk Station. And we just had good friends on this morning, and here's another one. Ladies and gentlemen, the restaurant show and longtime friend. I don't know. I was thinking, how many years have we known one another, and how many people think we're related? Mike Boyle joins us. When you opened that first bar called Boyles, everybody thought it was my bar, and I said,
"Yep,
you really didn't want me associated with that." But what was the first bar you had in Denver?
I had the hatch cover over in Cherry Creek, at 149 Steel, and that's where you and I met, and you were doing some of your DJ stuff at the old O'Rourke's Cantina and the Lift and some of those places, and I don't have total recall, as I'm sure you don't either. But it was a wonderful time. It was a lot of fun back in the Village People era.
Absolutely. Yep. Now, do you believe, get us in trouble, the Village People's YMCA, is it a gay anthem or not?
Not in my mind. And I'm going to tell you something. I never, ever, ever would have associated with that until the gay movement started complaining about it being used at a Trump rally. I mean, to me, that is just unimaginable. And by the way, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I always thought of it as a gay anthem. I always did.
Well, and you know what? There's exactly the difference. You thought it was. I never thought of it that way. I just went out and listened to the song, and I did the Y, and no, you don't touch the shoulders for the M, and how you do this. I was at you can look it up. I was at the largest performance of YMCA in history. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. It was the 2008 Sun Bowl in El Paso, and they came out, and there were 70,000 people. They got out there. They told everybody how to make the Y, how to make the M, the C, the A, and it was 70,000 people having an absolute ball. 19-year-old cheerleaders for the colleges playing in the game, and people our age just having a ball. I think it's a fun song.
Well, it is a great fun song, but it's also a gay anthem. I mean, there was I don't think that was anything hidden. And you're right. And it was interesting to hear Billy talk and say it's the senior end of the gay movement, the guys that are in, my age, who are upset that it's going to be used at at Donald Trump's inauguration. And I'm thinking, man, you're sure you're picking fights. And
that's exactly right. I'm upset with all the people that get upset with stuff.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? Our good friend Jack Phillips. If you want a cake, call 100 bakeries in Denver, like I did after the last dust up with Jack, and every one of them said, "Yeah, we'll make a cake. We don't care what's on it."
No.
So leave Jack alone. I mean, for crying out loud, you do your movement more harm, I think, if you are constantly looking for something to be upset about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people that I say they go through life looking for the manager.
Exactly. Yep.
Who's the manager?
Yeah.
I want to talk to the
Where's
manager.
What 800 number can I call to bitch about something?
Yeah.
And so, I agree with you.
What do they call it?
I'm glad they're going to be there. And I'm glad that Carrie Underwood's being criticized because she's always been a favorite, apparently, of the gay community. And she said, "I'm doing this for America." I don't think of Carrie Underwood as being the theme singer from Sunday Night Football.
No.
I think of her being a tremendous entertainer.
But
there, I got
but we know that politics and entertainment go hand in hand. And I was mentioning that if you go back in time to the Kennedy run, when he recruits Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, all things aside, it really helped him.
I just can't get that selective. I've got a dear friend who has never watched Yellowstone because Kevin Costner is a Democrat. And I'm telling you what, Yellowstone is a great TV series. To me, he's John Dutton. He's not Kevin Costner, Democrat. I just think that I think that you restrict yourself if you get too hung up on this stuff.
But politics are.
This isn't why you called me, is it?
No, but it's because we have a young woman that's going to join us here in a second. But if you study politics in in some European universities, you should really actually study economics, and they're inseparable. They truly are. Talk about what you got going. This is the Monday edition of Mike Boyle. Talk about what's going to happen.
Peter, like many of our listeners, unlike some, I am counting the hours until the inauguration of Donald Trump. And about 2 weeks ago, I said, I want to do something. I asked the station, I asked the Viewhouse, I said, I'm going to throw an inauguration party. So Monday, we're going to gather at the Viewhouse Centennial. Tickets are available at tickettailor.com. Yes, it is a limited event. We sold it out with the original size. And then Kim Dammer, the banquet manager over there, who's a fabulous lady I've known for almost as long as I've known you, she was able to get a little bit bigger space. So we've got only about 20 tickets left before it sells out. But we're gonna have a little bit of we're gonna have a lot of big screen televisions. The ticket is going to include admission and a buffet lunch, your coffee and tea. There will be a cash bar. We're going to have drawings. I've got gift certificates from some of our favorites, like Karen Parker up at the Butchery and Black Eyed Pea and Grinelli's Pizza. And we'll give some of that stuff away. And we've got swag. And it's just going to be a chance for about 150 people to do collectively what they would do individually. And that's watch the inauguration.
Oh, man. So when's it start?
Well, we're billing it as 10 to 1:30, but of course the swearing in is at noon Washington time, so the doors will open at 9:30. We'll get everybody in by 9:45, 9:50. They can grab a cup of coffee, and then we'll watch the inauguration, the speech. It's going to be sit down and stand up, so you can move around, do whatever you want to do. It's not going to be theater style or anything like that. So, I'm pretty excited about the response.
Now, you have, and kindly, you've never said no to a request for help. Through my friends at Devil's Head, I met this young woman. I'm going to bring her up now, if you would, Adam. Her name is Paige Valley, and she's from Douglas County High School. Hey, Paige, thanks for coming on the radio show, and I think Mike's already reached out to you. But what a terrific young woman. Would you tell the audience the project that you're involved with in Make-A-Wish, and thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, yeah, thank you for having me. So every year at our school, we put on a Wish Week. This year it's January 31st through February 11th, and we get a wish kid that we get to sponsor and raise money for their wish. This year we are lucky, and we got the opportunity to have 2 Wish Week kids this year. And every year we kind of do restaurant nights and events. So these events can include bingo, we've got game nights and movie nights. All communities are welcome to these. And we are excited to pair with companies in our community, such as Perry's Pizza and Smart Cow, along with several other restaurants in our community. All these restaurant nights will be posted on our Douglas County High School website this upcoming week for Wish Week.
Would you or can you list all of the restaurants? Because that's what Mike's going to be able to do for you with his restaurant show. So can you run them all down now, and then and we'll get the list to Mike?
Yeah, so we have a whole bunch of nights throughout the week. A lot of these include, we have Cane's, we've got Nothing But Cakes, we have Perry's Pizza, Smart Cow, which is our local frozen yogurt place, Freddy's, Crumble, Qdoba, Gelato and Company, Noodles. Let me find the other one. Dairy Queen, Crumble, and then Smart Cow again. And then we also have Red Robin and Cold Stone.
Mikey, you know those guys?
I'm writing as fast as I can, Pete. I'm writing as fast as I can, Dave. Every one of these places, Red Robin, Dairy Queen. I had a double patty burger at Dairy Queen this week. I loved it. Gelato and Co. I love the folks at Freddy's, Raising Cane's.
See?
Every one of them, Paige, will get a little play on the air.
What we're going to do now that we've got it out there as a plug, then Michael will call you, Paige, when we hang up, and he'll get it all written down because his show is very popular and it comes on today and tomorrow. So, and then we'll plug you again next week and we'll get it done. So what is the start date and what is the end date?
Yeah, so our start date for our Wish Week is January 31st, and then it'll go through February 11th. So, yeah.
Well, we got you. Now I'm going to drop you off. Mike will call you here in a few minutes, so I'll wrap it up with Mike. So, Mike, your party begins at the Viewhouse on Monday. And
yes, sir. 9:30, quarter to 10. Information's on my website, Pete, at MikeBoyle.com.
And all kinds of folks show up. And what's a ticket to get in?
$30. That includes your admission, your meal, your coffee, tea.
You remember when we used to do all you can drink for $1?
The good old days, Pete.
Boy, I was telling somebody about that when we would do Bob Lee and I would do all you can drink for $1. And you imagine what Mad would do imagine what I would do, and we would get we would get some very, very inexpensive beer. And our partner in on it was Paul Murray. And we would go and we would go and we would get like Schmitz or Schlitz or not Schlitz. What was the one? Schlitz of Philadelphia or something. And it was just horrible. And between 4 and 6 for $1. And then we'd kick people over to bar prices and the band would start. And Michael, can you imagine trying to pull that stunt off today?
You know, Pete, one of my only regrets about getting older is that I found the all-inclusive, all-you-can-drink, all-you-can-eat beachfront Mexican resorts at an older age. Can you imagine if we'd have found them when we were 30, 35, 40?
Well, actually,
I could have been an international incident.
I think I did. I think I did. But all you could drink for $1.
Yep.
And then we'd shut them off and we'll switch them over.
I remember Batman nights back in college when Batman came on television, and the local bars would do dollar pitchers, and we would go down to those and just have ourselves, it was our one occasional night each semester, each month to be irresponsible in college.
Yeah, but do you remember when they had the bars and we throw a brick through the TV when Cosell was on?
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
You could come in for that one. That was combine all you can drink for $1 on Monday Night Football. And when we'd have a drawing, and when Cosell appeared, you put a red brick through the television set. And he came here for a press conference on a Monday night game, and somebody brought it up, and Howard did not take kindly to that.
No. Well, and folks, for those of you out there listening and were hanging around with me and Pete back in those days, just know Peter and I are going to write a tell-all, but we promise to change all the names of the not so innocent.
I can't. I just can't. Good luck on Monday, and thank you for the help with this young woman in Make-A-Wish, Michael. It really is just a very kind thing to do. And we'll talk, my boy. Thank you so much.
It's a Make-A-Wish is a wonderful cause, and we're happy to help out. Okay?
Thank you, sir. All right. Now, what we need to do is do a turnaround, and I'm not sure if we want to go to open lines or we want to just jump to CJ, whatever Adam wants to do. But Coach McCartney passed away, and Charles Johnson, who's a dear friend, CJ comes on. CJ played QB at the University of Colorado. And then I'll ask him what he thinks about will Coach Prime leave and go to Jerryland. So here we go. It's going to be cold, really snowy, and 15 degrees, 4 degrees below tonight. Sunday, it's going to be snow again, 6 below Sunday night. Monday, it's going to be 8 below on Monday night. Everybody hang on your hats. 710 KNUS, we are Denver Stock Station.
At this hour, I'm Christina Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. A Pulitzer Prize-winning political cartoonist known for his work with the Washington Post has been arrested on child porn charges. Darren Bell, who is also known for bashing President Donald Trump, has been published by The New Yorker and the Los Angeles Times as well. The 49-year-old married father of 4 was busted this week after law enforcement received a tip. After searching Bell's home, detectives found 134 videos of child pornography linked to an account owned and controlled by Bell. They also found computer-generated artificial intelligence child pornography, according to authorities. Quickly making its round on social media, a questionable cartoon that Bell created and posted back in 2022 titled The Groomer. It shows an elephant-like person flashing a group of children in front of a mirrored storefront with the word bigotry tattooed on the subject's chest. The Northern California resident was issued a $1 million bond. Rudy Giuliani has settled with 2 Georgia election workers in a deal that they say let him keep his homes and personal belongings in return for compensation and a promise to never defame them. The deal came after the women were awarded a $148 million judgment against Giuliani. He had been scheduled to testify in a Manhattan federal court to decide whether he would have to give up his personal assets to the women, but Giuliani did not appear for the hearing. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Aguayo, Salem News Channel.
Is it or isn't it? The burning question. Is it a gay tune? Is it a gay anthem? I say it is. And everybody's got, you know what, and a knot over the Village People performing at Trump's inauguration. 710 KNUS. 1, 2, 3. Huh? I always thought this was a gay song. Doom bum. And then remember Macho Man, and we'll play some of that stuff. All right. 303-696-1971. Charles Johnson coming up, and then we'll talk ceasefire in Gaza and the next 4 years. Dan Kaplis and the Kaplis firm. Dan suggests that you should choose a lawyer who shares your values. And indeed, I went over and did the radio show with Danny, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago. And it was so good to sit together and to talk about all the different issues, but off the air, it was just as well. It was just catching up with somebody that you like so much. Dan's the son of a police officer in Chicago. We've talked about it. We talked about his mom. And he's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. He helped my family, and that's one of the things can say, boy, when it was my turn, he was Dan Kaplis. And Danny also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. The Kaplis firm is the official law firm of the Nuggets now and the Avalanche. He is my guy. Serious firm for serious cases, accepts righteous injury cases on percentage fee basis. If you're in a jam, you need some answers. 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit Dan Kaplis Law, CAPLIS law.com. All right, we have jammed up lines. We'll start up here. All right, go to Jack. Jack, what do you think? Just what do you think? You're on the air. Thank you.
Did you say Jack or Jeff?
I said, who is it?
This is Jack.
Okay, Jack.
Yeah, to find out whether that's a gay song or not, you'd have to go to the source. Unfortunately, the person that coined the word gay is no longer with us, which of course you know is Gertrude Stein. So we can't get an answer from her on that. But what I wanted to talk to you about is there's two legal issues that I think everybody should know about. Number one, the Supreme Court just ruled on the case with respect to John Deere tractor and the right to repair. The farmers pay, millions of dollars for these big tractors, and then they're all computer operated, and they can't fix them themselves, and John Deere won't give them the proprietary information so that they could fix it or could take it to an independent shop to fix it. So anyway, the court says they can't do that anymore. That's the one that's really, really good. The other one would be Whoopi Goldberg is being sued by $100 million by Trump's wife. What's her name?
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of lawsuits now, media lawsuits, and CNN just got clipped for what they did.
Well, the courts, I've always had a lot of faith in all of the courts, but what they were doing, Melania, they were talking about her personal life and that she didn't, that she and Trump hated each other, and they're doing all this stuff over the airwaves. Mm-hmm. And I hope Whoopi Goldberg, I don't know if Whoopi's a male or a female, to be frank with you, but I hope they sue her, him, it, whatever she is. I hope they take every dime she's got or he's got or whatever it is.
CNN just paid off, and for things that they said. No, it's I mean, this whole last 4 years, the biggest loser in the last 4 years has been heritage media, traditional media.
Okay, on litigation, you mean, on judgments?
On anything, on ratings, on numbers. The CNN numbers came out and how much money they're down in the last 4 years.
Well, all the media people always do the disclaimer, and your station does it too. This is not the view of.
Doesn't matter. Trust me.
I don't know it.
Trust me.
I don't know. I don't know if that flies or not.
Oh, no, it doesn't. And at this radio station, it's a little bit too late to start running that. But it's that's fine, but
you know what? I'll get off. Other people want to talk. You got a lot of smart people out there. Don't waste your time with me. Okay.
talk. Bye. Let's go here. Tell me on the time. We got Don from Lakewood. Hey, Don, you're up. Good morning.
Good morning, Peter. Beautiful winter day.
Yes.
Finally. We need this. Quick question, Howard Cosell. We were throwing bricks at the TVs because he didn't mention the Broncos and show any clips of them, right?
If I remember, it was they would not show the Broncos halftime on the Monday night games, or he
right.
would. Yeah.
Right. You only select teams, and when they did, because that was '78 when Red Miller had him in contention.
Yep.
And then when he took over for Ralston and Crazy Legs Morton was quarterback, I mean, that was really a special year.
It was great.
The Orange Crush, Gravishar.
Yeah.
I mean, it just wonderful time.
Remember, we would have drawings, and the winner of the drawing got to throw the brick.
We drank a lot of beer.
And drink a lot of beer. That's right. And drink a lot of beer.
Yeah. Hey, I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
I have been meaning to ask you. And so when January 6th came around, afterwards, there was a lot of talk about an insurrection, right?
Yes. It was one of the words that was used.
Well, there were a lot of people that really turned on Trump over that whole affair for a period of time, correct?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, because there were the Trump.
I'm talking about the people on KNUS, like you and Billy and Brockler. Your favorability of Trump.
Oh, then why didn't you say
pretty
that?
much you bought into that. I'm just because I wanted your opinion on what you thought about that.
I thought
I want your opinion. I want your opinion now.
Same
was
thing.
It an insurrection?
It hasn't changed. Insurrection was a word. Wait, stop. Hold on. I didn't use the word insurrection. I did not use that word. But what I did see was an attempt to usurp the Constitution.
How?
Just try and stop what is the tradition of how the next person becomes the president of the United States.
How would you go about doing that?
Well, I would do it exactly as it's been done.
Well, Trump had a right to challenge that entire election process. So did Pence. So did Pence.
They did not.
They didn't have to do that.
They did not have the right to. You don't
I
have
beg
to
to differ with you on that.
And at this point, I say I really don't care. But you do not have the right to halt or usurp the Constitution of the United States of America. Not you, not me, not anybody.
You have the right to challenge it?
In what way?
Anyway.
No, of course not.
You don't have the right to challenge the constitutionality of something?
No. Look, that was a tradition that had been done, and that was the final. It was just done last week again. You don't have the right to run in there and stop it.
Okay.
Not okay. So, you don't have the right to do it.
Well, I'm listening to what you say, and I just said okay. You know, that's I'm not into arguing with you. I'm just curious of your thoughts today.
It's not curious.
Now that Trump has been elected.
Well, that's
been elected. We have a different take on it. Okay, that's great. And that's what it's all about. You know, you have your thoughts, I have mine.
No,
what's your thoughts today about Trump being president?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a hell of a 4 years.
How do you like the people that he's got up there to help him do this?
Some of them I like. Some of them I like very much.
Did you watch Pam Bondi?
I did.
Wasn't she wonderful?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the stand up. I've had enough of you. But again, the Republicans would have done the same thing to someone that was put up a Democrat that was put up. But Donald Trump has selected, and I'm telling you, I think it's a good thing. He has selected the people that are really out there, outliers. They're edgy. They have with them. The question I think I would ask is, how many of them will still be on those jobs 6 months from now, 5 months from now?
See.
Yeah, well, no, I mean,
Do the Republicans have a Macy Hirono?
what?
Do the Republicans have a Macy Hirono, the gal from Hawaii?
Yeah, no, I saw her, and I felt the same way.
Same question. Each person, would you ever well, the gene pool runs a little weak.
No, it's
in
look,
the hallways of Congress.
Donald Trump has chosen people that are number one, 100% loyal to him. That's the most significant part of this. Number two, he's put up people who are going to try their very best to break how things once operated. We're going to be talking about the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire. I think Donald Trump had
Have
a
a
lot
good weekend, Steve.
All right, man.
Stay warm.
All right, you too. All right. When we come back, CJ, Charles Johnson, about Coach Mack, and then the ceasefire in Gaza, and then your thoughts on the next 4 years. It is cold outside. I'm Peter Boyle, 710 KNUS. Saturday morning, and it's cold outside. Saturday, January 18th, 2025. Good old 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. Good morning. Thanks for being here. And we're standing by for Charles Johnson. So in the meantime, we'll get into some open lines. 303-696-1971 is our phone number. The topic that started and we really ran was about the village people performing at Donald Trump's inauguration, doing at the YMCA. And people upset because they think it's a gay song, or other people upset because they say it isn't. And it is just, again, fodder, no more, no less. Also, we have scheduled to talk, coming up to talk about the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire. You may want to talk about that. But I think the overall question this morning is Donald Trump, his time will now begin. And this morning it's being reported that Chicago will be the first target. Then Donald Trump will begin a large-scale deportations on Tuesday. The question that I wrote down is that President-elect Donald Trump has spent the last 2 years on the campaign trail making more than a dozen promises for what he is going to enact his first day in office. And I made a list of them: the mass deportations, ending birthright citizenship, ending Biden-era the border policies, which is really, I think, well, we'll see. Pardon the January 6th defendants, ending the war in Ukraine. I want to talk about the Gaza agreements and what role Donald Trump played in that. Implement tariffs have been something that's been talked about. Canceling electric vehicle mandates, drill baby drill, and Made in America, the auto industry, and women's sports, ending men playing in women's sports. So that's the list of things, and let's see what happens out of the box. So first time there is nobody on the phones. So people thought we were coming back with a guest and dropped off. So 303-696-1971. If you were trying to call or want to call right now and get right on the job. 303-696-1971. And I'll tell you about David Ellis. I was with David on Friday. You've heard me talk about the valuables that David Ellis is, and again, incredible place for a fortune in cash. Secure an appraisal from David for all the valuables that you have tucked away in your home. It's still true, but if you share those other reasons to see David, just in case you don't have all those Rolex watches, rare coins, and silver tea sets, you go see David for all the most meaningful gift-giving occasions. David Ellis Jewelers have been the right item, the right price, the right time, special people that mean the most to you. Antique watches, emerald pendants, gold necklaces, diamond rings. A trusted jeweler has been buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado for decades. Dazzling cases filled with hundreds of new and used pieces that your loved ones will treasure. See the man, visit David Ellis Jewelers and see for yourself. Look for the black awning on the corner, 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek. Explore DavidEllisJewelry.com. Or call my friend David, 303-322-8779. He is the man. Explore DavidEllisJewelry.com and tell him Peter Boyle sent you. All right, our lines are full. We'll start with Dean on line 1. Hey, Dean, thank you. You're on the radio show. Good morning.
Yeah. What do you think about him doing all these wonderful things the first day in office?
Well, let's see if they're done.
Well, don't be pessimistic.
I'm not. I'm being honest.
You could have been serving Kamala this 4 years.
No, I could have not. That was such an impossibility. But I made a list of I was on the computer last night. I made a list of all the things that the 10 or 11 things that Donald Trump, these are his promises. And the first one is to begin the mass deportation program. And this morning, the Wall Street Journal's piece is Trump to begin large-scale deportations on Tuesday. Now, what do you think will happen on Tuesday?
Well, I think he'll wait a little bit. First of all, we got to get the criminals out, and if that lets you and I stay in the country, we'll be in good shape.
Say that again, because your phone broke up.
Oh, I said, I think he'll take the criminals out first. Everybody that's in the jails.
Well, I put that on the list that I put end birthright citizenship, which he said he would do, end the Biden era border policies, and then pardon the January 6th defendants. Now,
Well, I hope he does. I hope he doesn't have any snow so we can get the wall built.
well, the walls on the part of the Biden ending the Biden policies.
Well, no, the Biden policy was to sell the wall for 5 cents on the dollar.
Well, what the way, big deal whether that means anything or not, but under immigration, there's 3 different things: the mass deportations, the ending the birthright citizenships, and ending the Biden border policies is what I said, which means he's going to build the wall.
Right, and that would be good.
Oh, it's a must.
Absolutely.
And really, I mean, it's a must. He must build that wall, and I don't think there's any doubt that he will do that.
What do you have doubt about?
Say that again.
What do you have doubt?
Well, I mean, it's more easily said than done. I think he will not have a problem in the world building the wall, but when the mass deportations begin, I think there's going to be a lot of problems.
Well, in California and Colorado and New York and Chicago, probably.
No more than that, but yes.
Well, depends upon how many names they kept and how many phone numbers.
Well, when in his previous campaigns, Donald Trump made immigration the centerpiece of the 20 and repeatedly vowing to deport undocumented immigrants. On the 27th of October, just days before the election, he said, on day 1, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history to get the criminals out. Now, when that begins, let's see what happens. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's easily said and hard to do.
I agree. No criminals. Criminal.
Well,
that's the key word.
Yeah, but again, it's you talk about illegals, and then you talk about one of the parts of it that I've read is ending birthright citizenship. So anybody born in our country is automatically granted citizenship, and it's the 14th Amendment.
No, that's not necessarily true.
Well, yes, it is.
There's more to it than that. There's more to it than that.
Well, Donald Trump wants to change it. And,
well, good luck.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're making my case. It's easily said, and it's difficult to do. We will see.
That's right.
And I think ending the war in the Ukraine, I think the Ukraine is going to be smaller, but they're also not going to be the recipient of all of our weaponry. And they are going to make a promise that NATO will not attempt to join the Ukraine or the Ukraine joining NATO. I think that's going to end that. I think Trump had a lot to do with the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire. We'll talk with this guy. Yeah, coming up. But that's just a timeout on the field. There'll be another one that'll start. You take care of yourself. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Take last comment.
Thank you. Been a pleasure.
You too, sir. Thank you. All right, we go to Marcus Is it Marcus? Oh, it's Joe. It's Joe in Arvada. Joe, my boy.
Good morning.
Hey, man. Good morning.
Hi, Pete.
Hey.
I do think President Trump will attempt to win on all fronts. A battle here, a battle there. Wars are not won by winning every battle. The idea that Trump will win on every single front
I didn't say that.
May be a little bit
I didn't say
overreach.
that. I didn't say that. I said these are the promises that Donald Trump said during the campaign the last 2 years. And I actually spent a couple hours writing some of this stuff down. But those were the principal issues.
Well, I go back to 2016, and I remember the border wall of Mexico would pay for it and all those things. Now, I'm a huge Trump supporter, as well, you know.
Sure.
And so do I say that Donald Trump did all of those things? Well, he attempted to do every one of them. There were, just like any strategy, sometimes you have to change tactics. He was not able to make Mexico just write a check for deportations but remain in Mexico was largely done by their cooperation. And whether you say that they wrote a check for it or they sent their armies to enforce it, whatever they did, it worked. Well, now, was it exactly what he said? No, I guess you could you could sit there and parse his expressions say, listen, he didn't do what he said.
No, hang on. That's not what I said. I didn't say any of it. I actually wrote it underneath calling it the Biden policies. I wrote end Biden era border policies, which means, turn those fellows, the men and women of the Border Patrol, you turn them loose. You begin you terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration. Must be done. I mean, but again, the point I'm trying to make is things are easily said and oftentimes very different or a lot more difficult to do. In 2022, the number of undocumented immigrants living in our country stood at nearly 11 million individuals, according to the federal estimates. I
think it's higher.
Yeah, the exact number is unknown, but 500,000 of them have known criminal backgrounds. That's stuff that's public knowledge. So when this begins, a mass deportation program, it's going to be everybody. You can't, and that's what I'm saying to you. It's a great promise. It's going to be tough to do.
Well, when you say everybody, Pete, I'm reminded of our current laws, for American citizens. Spitting on the sidewalk is a crime. Also, jaywalking is a crime.
Well,
but we don't focus on those crimes. We focus on heinous crime right now, and we should focus on the smaller ones, but not as much. Now, I'll give you an example. Speeding.
There's light years difference between spitting on the sidewalk and going through and making mass deportation raids. Believe me.
Well, here's what I'm getting at is that I think the Trump administration will be trying to deport as many as possible. But I think that if you look at the sheer numbers, it's going to be difficult, as you said. So you have to start somewhere.
All right, listen.
So let's start at the most heinous crimes and deport them.
Once again, this 11 million, that's an estimate, but a federal estimate of 11 million. The exact number is unknown. There's about 500,000 of these undocumented immigrants that have known criminal backgrounds. I suspect they, as you point out, will be the first targets. But Donald Trump really, when you're targeting the illegals in this country for deportation, it's called large-scale deportation.
Amen.
And allegedly on Tuesday, 200 officers are being sent into Chicago, and they're going to begin to sweep and deport. And it doesn't.
Okay.
And it isn't
But
going to.
Pete, the fact is there's already probably 1 million immigrants that have deportation orders.
Oh, sure.
Those are already decided by the courts.
Yeah.
They are already doing something against the law.
Absolutely.
They are remaining in the United States illegally.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's a good example. There's one of the first places to begin. The ones that have deportation orders, out you go.
Yep. But the doing it, I mean, again, what I found in life is things look good on paper, and the doing it makes it a lot tougher. So,
well, we're going to find out.
Absolutely, I just said that. So
well, I'm with you. The proof is in the pudding.
Yep.
But I will say this: Donald Trump did build the border wall. Now, did he do it to the extent that we all wanted him to do it? No. But I think Donald Trump learned some things in the first administration. And I think that will be applied in this one.
And I think it'll get completed. But again, the mayor of Chicago's name is Brandon Johnson, and Donald Trump and Brandon Johnson are in a feud. I mean, this idiot mayor that we have who somehow thinks that housewives are going to stand there like Tiananmen Square and face down tanks on South Broadway. And you can't get more idiotic than that guy. But there's a feud, and I mean, it's been ongoing between Donald Trump and the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Now, what's Brandon Johnson going to do? Brandon Johnson is not this doofus mayor of Denver. So there's going to be a showdown in Chicago. Count on it. And
I think so.
And let's see what happens.
Well, my guess is that Donald Trump is ready for that. And Brandon Johnson, if you try to do any kind of mayoral order, or you try to get physical with your troops, your whatever your people are, and you get in the way, be prepared to be frog marched by the federal marshals into a federal prison.
And imagine that picture, and imagine that taking place.
Amen. I'm imagining it now.
All right, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Saturday morning, can you see that showdown? That possibly will happen on Tuesday morning. Saturday, January 18th. Good morning, ski resorts. Whoa! If it isn't too cold, you got serious snow. Well, you want to talk about it on the other side? Okay, we'll talk about Larson Ski and Sport on the other side. We have a hard break here. It's Saturday morning, waiting for CJ. It is 18th of January, 2025. 15 and snow and -4 degrees tonight. Hang on. Barracuda. Saturday morning, January 18th. It's cold outside. It's like, woo! 15 is all we get, and 4 below tonight, and then 12 on Sunday, and 6 below, and then 7 on Monday, and 8 below. One of my absolute most favorite people, and he's kind enough to come back up with us this morning, is CJ Charles Johnson. We had a missed time, and he's with us now. Hey, man, thanks for doing the radio show. CJ, good morning, and thanks for coming back on.
Oh, good morning to you, Uncle Pete, and my apologies for having the schedule snafu here, but just good to be with you, man.
You too, and it was kind of a screw up on our end as well. So the reason I call Charles, because first of all, just as a friend, but number two, the Coach McCartney had passed away, and CJ played QB, and so many things to talk about. But tell the McCartney story, and tell how they found you as a kid in Detroit, and they brought you out here, and everything that you did and went through working for this amazing coach, Bill McCartney.
Well, it was a very improbable sort of situation for me. I came, Uncle Pete, as you may recall, back in 1987, and I was one of 14 in that recruiting class. Now, that was the smallest recruiting class in the history in terms of numbers of scholarships in the history of CU. Actually, I was the 14th recruited of the 14, but CU only had 13 scholarships that year. So I was an actual invited walk-on my first semester. CU's football program was in a situation where they didn't have Salinessi, the late great Salinessi, who passed away of cancer, was a year older than I am, along with Mark Walters. Those were the 2 young quarterbacks on the roster. And then Coach Mack had 3 older seniors on the roster. Both Salinessi was Prop 48, so academically he was ineligible. Mark Walters had blown his knee out in spring ball, so he had no young quarterbacks. He was sort of, scavenging around the country trying to find a quarterback. And my coach, high school coach, sent him a film of me and immediately asked if I would accept an invited walk-on status, and I would be placed on scholarship as soon as one came available, which is typically at the end of the
CJ,
first
where else were you invited to play after high school?
All of the schools in the region, I'm from Detroit, and all the schools in that region. Michigan State had recruited me to play, but they wanted to change my position, along with all the big schools in the region, Wisconsin, Illinois. They all recruited me, but wanted me to change position. I was a quarterback. I was determined to play quarterback, and Coach Mack recruited me as such. And so I actually turned down scholarships to accept this walk-on situation so that I could play the position that I had grown to love.
It's interesting because you, from other people other than you were a great high school athlete. And
yeah, I was. I mean, if I have to say
seriously.
so myself.
Yeah. And
but here's the deal. I was a quarterback. I was an undersized, for the most part, 5'11", at the time, 165 pounds.
A little guy.
And to add to that, just keeping it real, I was a black quarterback in 1987 as well. And so to be undersized, fast, quick, it was normal for guys like me to have to change positions. But fortunately, it worked out for me.
Well, is that the reason you came to play for Mac, was because he was going to let you play QB?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
He had promised that I could play the quarterback position and compete for playing time.
Okay. So you meet him. Did he come to Detroit to meet you, or when was the first time you actually did the handshake?
It was in Detroit. He was the keynote speaker. As you know, Bill McCartney was a Detroiter as well.
Mm-hmm.
So every year, spring, he would come back and speak at a coaching convention, the high school coaches convention.
Okay.
And that's where I met him initially. See, when I visited Colorado, I had already graduated from high school. That's how late in the recruiting cycle it was for me. It was the summer of 1987 when most recruits are on campus, November of 86, December 86. I was summer of 87 before I even touched foot on CU's campus.
But you meet him first in Detroit.
That's correct. Yep.
Did you have any kind of signed agreement to come out and play ball, or you were walking on?
No, I mean, it was an understanding. It was a gentleman's handshake that if I did walk on, I would receive a scholarship immediately after the first semester.
Okay. So you come here, and I mean, I think it's fair to say that University of Colorado was always somewhere in the bucket. They never really were now. I mean, looking at now and looking at McCartney's time, CU really had a hell of a football team, did they not?
Say that again, Uncle Pete.
I said back when Coach McCartney, and after his first couple years, he had a hell of a team. They were champions.
Yeah, we ultimately won the national championship.
Yes.
Coach Mack left. He left the Michigan staff. He was Bo Schembechler at the University of Michigan defensive coordinator. He took the job in 1982 to become CU's head coach. His first 3 years, I think he only won like 5 or 6 games.
I looked at it last night. Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. It was tough treading for CU's football program, but it was coming out of some bad places, or a bad place with Fairbanks kind of ran the program in the ground.
I understand.
And Bill McCartney resurrected.
We got you? Lost him. Call him back. We lost him. So, while we lost him, I'll finish up on doing Larson Ski and Sport. There is more snow in the mountains right now, but it's cold. But ski resorts are experiencing better snow conditions, making it the perfect time to consider taking your skis and snowboards for a tune, or maybe even getting new gear for Christmas. Excuse me, if you did not get the right gear for Christmas, come back and get them again. For the best winter sports equipment, head over to Larson Ski and Sport, located just south of I-70 on Kipling. If you're looking to rent or buy equipment, Larson's has you covered, dedicated to providing you with the best skiing experience, snowboarding experience possible. The convenience of Larson's is unbeatable. Perfect stop on your way up or down the mountain. Find them. Large wooden building next to, and you're going, let's say, eastbound on 70. Get to the Kipling exit, get off on the far right side, you get off, down the ramp you go, then make a left under the tunnel, come right underneath I-70, come out on the other side and look to your right and you see the big wooden box building. That's Larson Ski and Sport. 7 days a week. When I say they have everything, they have everything. And from goggles to helmets to gloves to whatever you need, boards, boots, whatever you need, skis, it is all there. But the kicker is the really wonderful folks that work there, that have worked there forever, that really do know what they're talking about. You find them in that large wooden building south of I-70 on Kipling. John and the guys at Larson's are absolute experts at everything you need for winter sports. Stop in today. Tell them I sent you. Remember, when you're getting stuff for kids, rent. It's like, because next year, they're going to be bigger. Larson Ski and Sport, south of I-70 on Kipling. John Marriott, his son Jack, 303-423-0654. If you need something, need some help, want to buy some new equipment, or just get some of the old stuff fixed, 303-423-0654, 7 days a week, larsonsport.com. Can we go back to CJ? Okay, we'll go back. For the folks that don't know this, Coach Bill McCartney passed away, and he was the former Colorado Buffalo head football coach, and he passed away at 84, but he was a legend. And one of the people that came out of all of it is also a dear friend of mine, Charles Johnson. And CJ got them. It was, I think it was looking back and listening to you talk and Dave Logan talk and so many people talk, it was more than just putting a football team together. The guy really did form a family, did he not?
He really did. And it really was the core of his legend, his ability to rally young men, in this case, from all around the country, from different backgrounds, and really create this family. The amazing thing about Coach Mack is whether or not you played for him, if you were a buff, you mentioned the great Dave Logan.
Yeah.
If you were a buff, and Dave Logan was before Bill McCartney got promoted.
Yep. Yes, he was.
But he was part of the Bill McCartney family as well. That's the power of his ability to unite and to bring people together was unprecedented, man. I mean, the guy was an amazing team builder and leader. I've never been around anyone with the ability to bring people together the way Coach Mack did.
One of the things that CU was known as a white school, and McCartney began to change that. CJ, is that fair?
Well, in terms of it, as you recall, I was a part of student government while I was on campus as well, and so I was actually student body president in 1990. The year before, I was the president of the Black Student Alliance on campus, and so I was always familiar with the percentages and the numbers of participation, etc. The numbers hasn't really changed much over the course of the last 35 years. But what Bill McCartney did is he changed the perception in that if you were a young man like myself who came from the inner city of Detroit, or like Eric Bieniemy or Alfred Williams, or so many of the guys who were teammates and great friends of mine, my brothers, and to this day, when you got to campus, Bill McCartney created this environment where you felt like not only that you could survive, but you were welcome as well. I'll tell you a quick story. I'll give you a quick story to illustrate the point. In 1988, I believe, 87 or 88, my freshman or sophomore year, Sports Illustrated had this, they did an article on CU, and it was a number of my teammates, mugshots on the cover of the magazine. And most of the charges were things like noise ordinances and jaywalking and, things that, coming from Detroit, you didn't even know it was a crime, right? I mean, those things weren't prosecutable. And so Coach Mack actually scheduled time on the city council's agenda, took 10 of us, I was one of the 10, to a city council meeting. And during the open session, he got up and said to the city council folks, city council members and the city officials, he pointed at us, all African-American student athletes, football players. He said, these guys right here are the best and brightest from the communities they come from. They're not the problem. You're the problem. If you, the adults who run this city, can't figure out a way to put your arms around bright young men who attend this university, then shame on you, and said, let's go, get up and and we all walked out. I was nervous as hell. I didn't know what was going on.
Wow.
That was Bill McCartney.
So there were changes made under his tenure while being head coach.
Absolutely. Coach Mack implemented all kinds of policies and programs, everything, Uncle Pete, from ride-alongs with law enforcement in and around Boulder so that we could get more familiar with them, changing of the menu at training table where he added, he put a little bit of soul food cuisine in the menu so that guys like myself felt a little bit more at home. He changed the policy. There was a policy where you could only go to summer school if you needed hours for eligibility in order to be eligible for the next season. Coach Mack changed that. He said, listen, if we're going to ask these young men to stay on and around campus for the summer to prepare their bodies for football season, then we're going to pay for them to go to class. They're not just going to be sitting around. And so he did a number of things that has gone unnoticed or most people don't talk about, but that really, really sort of created that environment, that atmosphere that made folks feel welcome.
I'm about a minute from a break. Can I keep you through the break?
Absolutely.
Charles Johnson's here. The loss of Bill McCartney, and one of the things that we'll bring up now with Coach Prime and how things one builds to the next and what will happen next. But in the meantime, when McCartney really goes through politics and he takes the hit. I'm Peter Boyle, 710 KNUS. Thank you for being here. 15 is all we get for high, 4 below tonight, 6 below tomorrow night, Monday, 8 below zero. This is 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. Tom Homan, President Donald Trump's incoming border czar, is considering setting up a hotline for Americans to report illegal migrants who have committed crimes. Homan saying he's pitched the idea of the hotline but there's an outlet for Americans to report child traffickers, forced labor traffickers, sex offenders, and any other crimes that put the safety of U.S. citizens at risk. Homan saying he wants people to have another way to be part of the fix. The hotline will run alongside the tip line set up by Immigration and Customs Enforcement that gets an average of 15,000 calls a month, according to the agency. ICE welcomes tips on illegal immigration along with other violations of the law like drug smuggling. Donald Trump has appointed actors Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone as special ambassadors to Hollywood with the goal of bringing back another golden age of Hollywood. Trump saying they will serve as special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which has lost much business over the last 4 years, to foreign countries, back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. These 3 very talented people will be my eyes and ears, and I will get done what they suggest. It will again be like the United States of America itself. BP Oil Company is cutting 4,700 jobs worldwide and 3,000 contractor roles as part of a cost-saving drive. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, it's Christina Weil, Salem News Channel.
Good morning, everyone, on a Saturday morning, very cold in the city, 18th of January, 2025. And I keep saying this, 4 below tonight, 6 below tomorrow night, 8 below on Monday night. Our guest, the one and only CJ Charles Johnson, and we're remembering legendary football coach Bill McCartney, who coached Colorado to its only football national championship. And CJ played for him and speaks so highly of him. The difference in styles, watching Coach Prime, who has really brought the Buffs back to life. Can you compare and contrast those two men?
In fact, I'll be honest with you, I've always said they are pretty much alike in many ways. Coach Prime, at face value, it's going to sound strange, but who these men are, Coach Mack was and who Coach Prime is so similar. They're not really all that impactful on things outside of football. One, high men of integrity, great deal of integrity with both. Both very charismatic, a young man as it relates to football, for athletics to attend the University of Colorado, great recruiter. And here's the one thing I think is understated as it relates to Coach Mack, and it's true with Coach Prime as well. For as big an advocate as Coach Mack was for making his African-American, his black student athletes, his black football players feel welcome in Boulder, he was able to do so without alienating my white teammates, if you will. That's the secret sauce. That's the magic of Mac. His insistence on inclusion didn't alienate anyone, and it's really was what built this bond to create this program. Most people don't know. In 1995, I think, Pete, the University of Colorado had more players in the National Football League than any other school in the country.
I'd heard that.
Yeah. And the way Coach Prime is, the route he's gone or the path he's on, I will expect similar in the next 5, 6, 7 years. But those two men are very much alike, man, in so many ways. It's almost eerie to be around the program now and feel sort of the presence of Coach Mack through Coach Prime.
$64,000 question. Everybody's talking about it. Does Prime stay or does he go to Jerry Land?
Prime will be a Colorado Buffalo for the foreseeable future. So, it drives me and Buffs crazy, I know. But what people don't know is that he actually likes Boulder. He loves Colorado. He was supposed to spend the weekend snowmobiling. Mm-hmm, he loves fishing.
I saw that.
In a lot of ways, Coach Prime is, when you see him, he's prime time, big lights. You think big city, but he's really a country boy at heart. and on his downtime, when he's not on, he loves to fish.
Yeah.
He loves to go lake fishing and hanging out in the mountains, just chilling. So that's who he is. He loves Colorado. He'll be here for a while, Pete.
So all this, I mean, I listened to some talk radio yesterday afternoon, with Uncle Dave and everybody at KOA. And I guess Vegas is betting on it, and Jerry Jones. And I work with someone who worked with Jerry Jones, actually worked around him in the media. And they said, you the things that you see about and hear about Jerry and his kid, they're all true. And I said, I wonder if, now they said, it isn't as much Jerry as it is his kid, his son.
Right.
Is really, I guess, a day at the beach. But so, so I don't know. It's the money's up, and it begins.
Well, when I was last on your show, if you recall, we talked a little bit about it, and the money is interesting. It's always interesting because if you look at, I mean, it's follow the money, right?
Sure.
When you look at how Coach Prime has moved the needle from a revenue perspective. Technically, if you really want to sort of bring this thing down to dollars and cents, he's probably the most underpaid coach in college football.
Wow.
I think his salary is somewhere around $7 million a year, but he's probably the most underpaid coach given the return that on the investment that the university is making in paying him.
Oh, he is. Yeah, I told you my nephews in Boston and Pittsburgh, they wanted to find CU hats. They couldn't find them.
Right.
They were sold.
Right.
They were sold out. No, for real. They said, "Hey, Uncle Pete, can you get us some hats?" I said, "You guys can't find them in those sporting goods stores." He said, "They're sold out." And I'm
gonna tell you, it's amazing what has happened. Ticket sales, apparel, television. We're on television every year on a major network, every game this past season. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it's, the whole Dallas Cowboys thing, and Coach Prime is brilliant in that he knows how to every time his name is mentioned as the headline story on Sports Center or, on the talk shows.
Yeah.
That's recruiting, right? His name is, he knows how to keep his name out there and relevant. And everyone's talking about him, right? I mean, I have my sister who doesn't know if a football is blown up or stuffed. She's calling me, asking me, is Coach Prime leaving Colorado? Right?
Yeah,
I'm like,
I got those same phone calls. I said,
right.
I said, how would I know? Yeah, and I said, I told him I knew you. That's how I knew. but it is, Vegas is making odds on it. They're making bets on it.
No, what Vegas is making is money on it.
Yeah, well, that is true too. But they're betting. You can bet on what you think he's going to do. Wow,
no, that's exactly right. And
wow,
it is crazy. The attention that he gets and the following nationally that he has garnered for CU. Again, anywhere I travel, if I have CU gear on, sports fans, non-sports fans, elderly women, young boys. I mean, everyone wants to talk about CU and Coach Prime.
And how many people that would never have done that before he arrived?
I can tell you that none did before he arrived.
Oh, yeah.
I could travel pretty peacefully without being talked down by a fan asking questions about Coach Prime.
Can you? Our guest is one of my best. Charles Johnson, CJ, is here. In a couple of sentences, your remembrance of Bill McCartney.
Coach Mac was, the word that comes to mind is integrity. I mean, I love this guy so much. And you had mentioned Coach Mac getting in trouble with the statement, some of the statements he would make. Oftentimes he would wear religion on his sleeve in public. Now, he never imposed that on us at all, but he would make public comments. I think he made a comment about homosexuality at the podium of the university, at the behind the seal of the university, and was reprimanded for it. Coach Mack is not without flaw, but he is a man with great, great integrity. What I love most about Coach Mack is, for as stern a human being as he may seem, he was always open to talk and to grow even. That incident that I just mentioned, Uncle Pete, Coach Mack and I had a several-hour conversation about why I thought that comment may have alienated players, some of my teammates who may have been gay. And it shocked Coach Mack. He was like, no way. I said, how do you think, if you had a player who was gay in your locker room, how do you think they received that message? And he said, well, they should know that I would give my life for them just like I would give it for you. And I said, Coach, I'm not certain that that's what they got from that. In fact, I'm willing to bet not. And he hesitated and said, wow, CJ, I didn't think of that, but they got to know that I would give my life for them. I said, well, Coach, the power of those words may have had an unintended consequence. That's the point that I try to make. But an amazing man. He was willing to have that conversation. One of the top 2 or 3 people, man or woman, I have two, and I had 2 incredible parents that I've ever known in my life. Great, great influence on so many people. Rest in peace, Coach. I love you, man.
Thank you for doing the show this morning. I know it's busy. We owe each other a big dinner someplace, and we'll take along a half a dozen other guys.
There you go. Looking forward to it.
CJ, I love you, man. Thank you for what.
Love you too, Uncle Pete.
Be safe.
Hey, buddy.
Thank you.
All right.
On the other side, the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire, the Gaza airstrikes. What will happen? Stay here, and then we hit open lines. Good morning, everybody, on a Saturday, and I went and looked out the official weather window. It's snow. It's snowing, and it's cold, and what more do you want? 15, I don't know if we got to 15, but certainly 4 below tonight. Sunday, 12 degrees and 6 below, and then 7 and 8 below. I'm Peter Boyles. It's good to be here. We do Saturday mornings here on 710 KNUS. We had moments ago, CJ Charles Johnson was on. We had Jeff and Billy on. Mike was with us. Mike Boyle was with us. But we're going to switch horses again. Please welcome back to the show. He was with us, I think, he's been in studio once before. Abdullah, and it's about the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire. And Abdullah, and I hope I do it, Abdullah, correctly, Elagha. Did I come even close?
Abdullah Elagha, so close enough.
Close enough. Close enough for government work. Welcome back.
Cool.
Thanks for doing the show. Do a quick bio so the folks in the audience know who you are.
Yeah, sure. I am a Palestinian American. I'm an activist and community organizer. I work with a number of organizations here in Colorado. Colorado Palestine Coalition, as well as the Denver chapter of the U.S. Palestinian Community Network.
So what do you make of the last 48 hours in the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire?
First off, it was quite a roller coaster. When the ceasefire plans were announced on Wednesday, immediately after, it seemed as though, despite the fact that Israel had agreed to the ceasefire on paper, it seemed as though Netanyahu was ready to back out before the ink had even dried. It seemed like several ministers in the Knesset were also either ready to back out or ready to use political leverage to prevent the ceasefire from going through. So even though it was a moment of cautious optimism, it was really stained by, this uncertainty, not knowing if this ceasefire would actually go through. And now that, it seems that the Knesset has approved this and the ceasefire will go into effect tomorrow, I think we still have this very cautious optimism, because we see right now in Lebanon what ceasefires with Israel look like. Tahrir is still continuously being bombed, despite the fact that the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon was minted months ago. They're still being bombed. Several iterations of Israeli airstrikes on Gaza over the past 20 years that have ended in ceasefires have had those ceasefires be broken by Israel. So we are hopeful, because this is going to be a moment of reprieve for our relatives and our people in Gaza who have experienced 15 months of what is essentially a Holocaust, of what has been just the most brutal campaign of civilian slaughter in recent history. They're going to get a moment to just sleep peacefully without bombs falling around them, and hopefully get some much needed aid. The power has been off in Gaza for 15 months. There's been no water flowing into Gaza for 15 months. Israel controls both of those things. So, we're hoping that they will just have a moment of peace, a moment of rest, and will finally be able to bury their dead, many of whom are still stuck under the rubble. So that's where a lot of us are at. We're sitting by and hoping that this shakes out the way that it should.
As a student of history, we were talking about the ceasefire, and I said it's just really more a timeout on the field. And one of the things that we have learned, especially since the fights against colonialism, that 8 and 9 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10-year-old boys and girls who survive this, who live in Gaza, What are they going to be like in 8 or 9 or 10 years? Abdullah, who will they turn into?
I mean, there are already several reports out there that say that Hamas has recuperated a lot of its numbers that it lost over the past 15 months through recruiting. I mean, to your point, Peter, think about it. If you're a 14-year-old kid who just lost his entire family to a bombing, where are you going to go? You're essentially trapped in this open air concentration camp. Yeah. You have nowhere to go. You have nowhere to escape. You have no prospects at life. No. And you have this deep, burning hatred.
Yes.
This deep, burning want for revenge that is extremely justified because you have witnessed the most horrific scenes that have happened to you, to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones, to your neighbors, to the place where you were born, where you grew up, where you have never left. Most people in Gaza have never left Gaza. All they know is the Gaza Strip, and they have witnessed it be turned back into the Stone Age. What do you think these people are going to do? These people were fed up with the way that their lives were going on October 6th, 2023. How do you think they feel now?
Well, that's one of the points is that, and I think it was you, Trevor Roper, who once said there are parts of the world where there is no tomorrow. It is simply yesterday repeating itself. And that part of the world, and the other thing too, and I wanted to sidebar you into that as well, Abdullah, is when people are cheering about what happened in Syria, I say, wait and see who ends up in the driver's seat in Syria. And it'll take more than 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. But I think eventually the entire Middle East is once again in a change. And with the Israeli army, does anyone know death tolls? There's been estimated death tolls inside of Gaza, in Lebanon, and people are angry. At least I've read, people are angry at Netanyahu for, in essence, throwing in the towel because he didn't kill everybody that was in Hezbollah. Well, you can't do that either because the birth rate continues to give you more and more and more soldiers, if you would, to join that army or the whatever army it is that shows up next. How do you win? The Israelis can't win. I don't know if the Palestinians can win. What happens?
It's very, very simple, Peter. There needs to be an end to the occupation. There needs to be a dismantling of the apartheid system. It's extremely simple. You know, I think when we get into this conversation of, oh, what's the solution? Yeah, I mean, I get this question a lot, like, hey, smart guy, what would you do to fix this? You know, and I think it's always framed in a way of like, oh, you know, this has been going on for so long. There's just no way to fix this. There's no way. There are ways to fix it, but there are so many steps that need to be taken before we get to a place where we can start talking about a solution. There needs to be a dismantling of this apartheid system. These land grabs in the West Bank need to stop. Palestinians need to have their right to self-determination fulfilled. The people of Gaza, they have the right to control their own destiny. There are so many steps that we need to take before we talk about a solution. And all of these decisions, the power to make them lies with Israel and lies with the people who enable Israel.
But now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
But now, and I really go back to what Cheney and George Bush did. And people dubbed it an Arab Spring, but it really becomes an Arab winter. And now, what the overthrow inside of Syria, but now that Saddam's not there as a buffer, and I mean in this last 15 years, this has all changed, and now it accumulates, or it comes to a head in the Israeli-Hamas war again. But Then I think it seems to me from reading that it'll just all start again, especially as these young kids grow up. And that was true in Ireland, where they became members of the IRA, and they did so at 11 and 12 years of age after their brother was hung by the British. It's repetition, is it not?
Yeah, it is. But I guess, Peter, were those 11 and 12-year-old Irish kids who joined the IRA, were they unjustified after the decades and decades and over centuries
not at all.
of brutal occupation by the British? They were completely justified.
Absolutely.
What would anyone do? What would anyone do?
This country threw the British out. I mean, it's like when I talk to people about the British in the world, I'll say, stop. What was the name of the country that George Washington and John Adams and everybody threw out? They threw the British out. So if we throw the British out, and India and Pakistan, the list goes on, Ireland, Kenya, South Africa, who did they throw out? They throw out the British, do they not?
Right. And I mean, 1918, the creation of Israel was minted by the British mandate.
Absolutely.
This is British meddling,
Absolutely.
Western meddling in places where they shouldn't be. But going back to your point about Syria, I mean, obviously I hold a lot of, I see where the joy that Syrian people have comes from. It's been a brutal civil war for 14 years. They're definitely justified to finally feel as though they're turning over a new leaf. But the fact that we went from over a decade of a stalemate to this changing of the guard, if you want to call it that, in the span of 1 week, with the blessing of the United States and Israel, it reeks of Western intervention, and it definitely feels like it's not over for Syria. I mean, you just look at what Israel did immediately within hours after Bashar al-Assad left Syria. They went past the Golan Heights, which, by the way, is Syria. The Golan Heights is Syrian land. They went past the Golan Heights and started to take more land as they marched to Damascus. I mean, this is like the behavior of like barbarian tribe in the Middle Ages. You know, you wait until your neighbor is at their weakest, at their most vulnerable, and you plunder and pillage. I mean, it's ridiculous, and I feel for the Syrian people, and I hope that they can rebuild and that they can move on, because they're a beautiful people. Syria is a beautiful country, one of the oldest civilizations on earth, and it's just, it's heartbreaking to be in this moment of, where we should be happy and looking to the future, and yet still feel, so pessimistic.
Watch, and I want to be wrong. I don't want to be right what I think will happen, but watch. The world is upside down right now, and that part of the world it's been upside down for the longest time, and so Palestinians are who's going to rebuild Gaza City, northern Gaza. Who is going to come in and do that? Your best guess.
Yeah. I mean, Peter, I read the terms of the ceasefire, and I think even just the way that it was written is very telling that Israel has no interest in this actually being a permanent ceasefire. So it's 3 parts, right? The first part has all of these details and specific numbers. And then part B has, it's a little hazier. And part C is just completely ambiguous. Just says, full withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. There are no details whatsoever. It is very, very clear that Israel has no interest in seeing the ceasefire through. I don't know when we get to the point where we actually think about building Gaza. Don't get me wrong. The people of Gaza are extremely resilient people. They have rebuilt many times, and they have endured airstrikes for 20 years, and they have endured a siege for 20 years, and yet still they survive and thrive and they rebuild. But this is like nothing that's happened before. This is complete and utter decimation. I mean, there are entire swaths of the Gaza Strip, which, mind you, is like 20 miles by 5 miles wide. It's very, very small. There are entire swaths of this very small area of land that have been completely razed to the ground. Where do you begin to rebuild? Where do you even begin? I don't even know how to answer that question, Peter.
Well, I wonder who will do it. I mean, there all the talk now about the West Coast fires, and how insurance companies have pulled out. And I know it's relative in terms of the destruction. But if you look at that and then you look at what Gaza City looks like or what northern Gaza looks like, who comes in there and puts that back together? I saw that line of trucks this morning that are waiting to cross over with food and medicine and food and clean water. And people that I read the opinions on Netanyahu, that people were angry at Netanyahu because he did not finish off Hezbollah. And I said, somebody has never cracked a history book, because no one is ever going to finish off Hezbollah. They're going to, they will continue, because these young men and women who are, they're babies and they're toddlers and they're sixth graders right now who have survived. Give them 8 or 9 years, Abdullah, who are they? They're right back at you.
And I mean, Peter, you know, when we talk about this, when we say people are mad with Netanyahu for not finishing off Hezbollah,
they are.
People are mad with Netanyahu for not finishing off Hamas. Let's be real about what we're saying. We're saying the Israeli people are mad that Netanyahu didn't complete the utter decimation of Gaza. They're mad that there are still, well, I mean, Peter, I think something like 11% of Israelis actually support a two-state solution. It might be less. So, I mean, let's just call a spade here. They have no interest in actually being neighbors. They have no interest in actually forming any sort of peace agreement. They want Gaza. They want Lebanon. They've made it very, very clear several times. I mean, there are several settler groups who were already going into Gaza, into northern Gaza, and putting up some outposts with the blessing of many in the IDF. This is the same in the West Bank. This is the same in Lebanon. They were already selling land and selling settlements in areas that are still Lebanese today during the war with Lebanon. They were already selling settlements and beachfront property in Gaza while Gaza was being bombed. So I think it's very facetious to look at this in a way of, oh, you know, people want to destroy Hamas. People want to destroy Gaza. People want to destroy Palestine. They want to destroy Lebanon. The Greater Israel Project has never been a secret. And, you know, as we see them marching towards Damascus past the borders of the Golan Heights, we see it being enacted in real time. It's terrifying to think where we're going to be in 20 years.
Well, I give it 10, and I give it maybe even less than that. You take care of yourself. We owe a big show together and try and get a mixed group of people to talk. But you, Abdullah, thank you for giving up some time this morning to do that. It is unbelievably sad. One of the saddest places in the world is what you've just described. Take care of yourself, sir. Thanks for doing the show. Abdullah? We lost him?
Yeah.
All right. We return in open lines, talking about the first 4 years, first 100 days of Donald Trump. Here we go. One more time. Village people performing at Donald Trump's inauguration amid an ongoing feud between the members of the group themselves, let alone politics. Sing it. Now, that's a gay anthem, and or at least a gay tune. And folks say, no, it isn't. Of course it is. But that's cool. They recruited this group out of the village itself, and it goes from there. But it is watching politics in America, where the Donald Trump inauguration tune, the YMCA, now becomes political fodder. Good morning, everyone. It is a Saturday. It's cold and snow and really cold and 4 below tonight, 6 below on Sunday, and Monday night it's 8 below. Tell you about Danny Kaplis, and we'll go to the phones. Lines are jammed. He's my friend. I mean, just right off the bat, I went and did his radio show with him a few weeks ago, had a great 2 hours with him. And Danny suggests you should, and rightfully so, choose a lawyer who shares your values, and because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everybody involved in the case. Dan Kaplis is the son of a Chicago cop. We've talked about how he grew up and what he's done, and he's believed to be the only attorney in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar jury verdicts in crash cases. And Danny's also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. I always mention that our family went through some things, and Dan Kaplis was there. Dan's believed to be the only attorney in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases, believed to have won the largest truck crash case. We talk about what Danny does. He's now the official law firm partner of the Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law, serious firm for serious cases. If you have a question, the most important thing to do is pick up the phone now. If something's happened, your family's going through something has happened, pick up the phone, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplislaw.com. It's CAPLIS. That's Dan Kaplis, dankaplislaw.com. All right, 303-696-1971. Our lines are jammed. We'll start with Jim. Jim in Littleton, I think he waited the longest. You're on the show, and good morning, and thank you.
Good morning, Peter. I just got to say, every time I listen to your show, I think that week is the best, and every week it seems to get a better show. I don't know how you do it.
It's either you or me. It's probably you.
No.
Go ahead.
No, these shows are fantastic. I can't believe it. Listen, I just got to say, from the point of view of, we know that the status quo in both the Middle East as well as in Russia and Ukraine can't continue. And so the new administration, I think by changing things up, is going to bring, I'm not going to say peace, but to change it up to where maybe we'll have some sanity and things might change, will be such a welcome change, because right now we are so close to the destruction of this world because of what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. I think Americans just don't realize it because we're so isolated over here. But it is a power keg over there. And people don't know this, but I've heard this, and I didn't realize this. There is a significant percentage of our weapons that we have brought over to the Ukraine that are now in the open market. How many Americans know that? I didn't know that, to what degree this is going on. I mean, these weapons are ending up in the cartel. They're ending up in terrorist organizations. They can be used against Americans.
Sure. What will my belief, what will happen is Ukraine will be smaller, and they're guaranteed.
Unfortunately,
and the Ukraine will will give the guarantee that they will not join NATO, and NATO weaponry will not be stationed inside of Ukraine. And I think that I believe that since Donald Trump won the next day, he was on the phone with Putin. He was on the phone with Netanyahu. I believe that this ceasefire that's happened in Gaza has a lot to do with Trump. A lot to do with Trump.
I don't know how much, but I agree with you on that. And unfortunate that's the same deal I believe Putin wanted in 2022.
Yeah.
When they were meeting in Turkey.
Yes.
So but the Ukraine is gonna have smaller land as a result of this.
Yeah.
I have relatives. Actually, my wife has relatives in Ukraine. They've all left.
Oh, sure.
Guess where they went? They've ended up in Europe.
Sure.
None of them are coming back.
Well,
go ahead.
I think if there is a guarantee, I think people will return. People want to return. I mean, if you think about like Gaza right now, Gaza is destroyed, or the Gaza City in northern Gaza. Yet, watch, they will go back and they will rebuild.
No, Peter, they will be required. Those that are in Poland will be required to leave Poland. Those that are in Western Europe will have a longer breath span. And we'll see on that, because I don't think so. But her relatives are in Germany now, in Eastern Germany, and they're not being told they have to go back.
No, not to go back, but there's an urge to go back. And
for the Ukrainians, but
I do. I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens when. But I think Donald Trump had more to do with the ceasefire in Gaza, and had more to do with what I believe will happen in Ukraine. Remember, again, history and powerful presidents. When Jimmy Carter and all the Americans were held hostage by the Ayatollah Khomeini, the second that Ronald Reagan gets sworn in, they're released. The second, I mean, there's all kinds of intrigue behind that, but when Ronald Reagan says, I do, and Jimmy Carter is no longer president, Ayatollah releases the hostages. Why? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about it. Books have been written about it, but he's still in his despotic religious beliefs released the second Ronald Reagan became president. Why?
Right. Same thing. You think it's the same thing with Trump, and I have to agree with you.
I think so too. I think so as well.
I think so.
That his, but there's all, like I said, what's going to happen is going to happen. You take care of yourself.
Well, I agree with you. Thank you so much for a good show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. We go to Jay. Jay, you're on a radio show. It's Saturday morning. Thank you.
Hey, Pete. When you were talking about the young Irish kids being oppressed by the British, or the young kids in Gaza,
right?
50% of the European Jews were slaughtered between 1939 and 45. There was all kinds of revenge plans for after that, and none of them came to fruition because cooler heads prevailed. And that's the only way you're going to have peace.
But there was no indigenous. In other words, there was no place that they were Irish or they were Palestinians. I mean, the return to fight is you when you're living in Kenya. It happened in many places in the third world. It happened in India. It happened in Pakistan. It happened in China. It happened in Vietnam.
And most recently, Rwanda and Burundi in the Congo.
Yes, but
I mean, tons of revenge killing back and forth that got them nowhere.
But that was against each other. That was not against an occupying force, and they're light years difference. Civil wars. The civil war in Uganda has gone on since before Uhuru, but this stuff that I'm talking about is you have an occupying military, and occupying Ireland is the best example. And they have stayed there since the time of, since the time of Victoria. Excuse my voice. And the Irish do something called risings. And in Southeast Asia was called the Tet Offensive. And it happens. And there's been many, many risings in Ireland, and the British beat them back. And then the Easter Rebellion, which is the most significant one. And then finally comes the peace, although the peace doesn't come in the manner that you and I would think it did, but the British leave. But then they come back because they protect Northern Ireland. And that's where the IRA goes to work again. So,
but don't we have peace in Belfast, in Northern Ireland now? Don't we have peace there?
Now, finally, after all these years, they have come to and actually part of it was Brexit. I mean, Brexit, I was in Northern Ireland thousands of years ago, and I was in Northern Ireland 3 years ago. It's like all of this new computer technology and all of this wonderful, the things that have happened. I didn't recognize Belfast from the Belfast that I'd seen before, but it was because of infusion, and the unemployment rate amongst Irish Catholics was so significant in Belfast because it was the shipyards, but it was really run by the Protestants, who the Irish saw as not being Irish at all, that they themselves were infused by the British. They were Scotch Presbyterians. It's complex, but they know it. We may not know it, but they sure as hell do.
And when your guest, the Palestinian representative, said, if they want to see what a ceasefire looks like, look what's going on in Lebanon now. I would say to him, if you want to see what peace treaties look like when they're not lobbing bombs into Israel, let's look at Egypt, Jordan, and these other Arab states that all have peace.
Remember that the United States of America bought that. It's called Camp David. And Jimmy Carter brings the two together. And we give tremendous amounts of money every year to the Egyptians and tremendous amounts of money every year to the Israelis, not to kill each other. And
do you think without that money, they'd start killing each other?
Well, remember, Sadat's there. And Sadat's murdered because he had made the deal. And the Israeli representative was killed because he made the deal.
No, but in 2025 now, do you think that money has to continue to maintain the peace?
Well, it does. Remember, there was a line that the Arabs will and against wars against Israelis, the Arabs will fight to the last Egyptian. And Jimmy Carter, who has been beaten up pretty badly on talk radio this week, Jimmy Carter saw that he couldn't find an Egyptian family that had not lost a son. Consequently, he could not find an Israeli family that had not lost a son. So he brings the two together at Camp David, and they do the accords. And there's agreements that are made. But basically, I don't know what the number is. It's very significant. And the money's given every year to the government in Cairo, and every year to the government in Tel Aviv, and for them not to kill each other. Now, watch what happens. Everybody's jumping up and down because al-Assad's out of Syria. That's not going to go good. The people that are going to move into that, and they always ultimately get. The power comes from out through the strength of the religion and the people who end up on top.
Given what you just said, don't you think it was good that Israel went in and destroyed all those deadly weapons?
It's just replaceable. I mean, seriously, it's the arms dealers that principally a lot of those guys, manufacturers, are in this country. The arms dealers literally don't care. And they don't care where the weapons go. How much?
And where are they getting the money to buy them? Where are they getting the money to buy them?
From the Iranians.
Right.
And
Right.
and what do you think? All the U.S. weapons that were left behind in Afghanistan. What happened to them? Do you think?
They're probably on the international weapons market.
Sure,
You think?
of course.
Yeah.
Or they are somebody's. That's why the war in Ukraine is a war that is loved by the military-industrial complex. They love selling equipment. And it's really interesting when you read the deals that when Barack Obama sends John Kerry to meet the mullahs, I mean, you would have loved to have been a spider or a fly on the wall for that. They took him apart, put him together like a watch. And what was it about? It was about money. It was about weapons.
All right.
I got the music. All right, thanks you, man.
Thank you.
710 KNUS Denver's Talk Station. Open lines will continue until 1 o'clock Saturday morning. Cold outside. I'm Pete Boyles. Donald Trump begins. What do you think happens? 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. The U.S. and Mexico have teamed up to figure out where the guns are coming from that are used by Mexican drug cartels in massacres and other crimes south of the border. In fact, about 33% of the more than 71,000 gun trace requests made by the Mexican government showed that the guns were purchased in the U.S. and then trafficked into Mexico. 82% of the traced crime guns were recovered in a Mexican state with a dominant cartel presence. The trafficked guns were mostly 9mm pistols, .22 caliber handguns, AK-47 style calibers, and variants of the AR-15 rifle. Most were sold at firearms stores, pawn shops, or directly from the manufacturer, according to the report. Most of them were found at the scene of a crime in Sonora, Baja California, Chihuahua, Jalisco, and Sinaloa. A Pulitzer Prize-winning political cartoonist known for his work with the Washington Post has been arrested on child porn charges. Darren Bell, who is also known for bashing President Donald Trump, has been published by The New Yorker and the Los Angeles Times as well. The 49-year-old married father of 4 was busted this week after law enforcement received a tip. After searching Bell's home, detectives found 134 videos of child pornography linked to an account owned and controlled by Bell. They also found computer-generated artificial intelligence child pornography, according to authorities. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Aguayo, Salem News Channel.
Morning, everybody. In about 15 minutes, I think we say good afternoon. 710 KNUS, Voice of the People, Denver's talk station. 4 below tonight. 6 below tomorrow night, and -8 on Monday night. 710 KNUS, open lines, Denver's talk station. We'll start with Ron. Ron, you're on the radio show. Thanks for calling, and good morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. Peter Boyles.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking my call. I want to thank you so much for having Charles Johnson on.
Oh, wow.
For me personally, I went to CU 66 to 70. In the last couple of years, I was there to stay out of the Vietnam War. But I did not know the extent that Coach McCartney stood up for his players in city council. Back in '68, I knew there were issues in Boulder, but I had no idea how he stood up for his players as human beings.
Yeah, CJ has a couple of great stories. One is about McCartney literally walking off the field and going and having showdowns with people. He must have been, I never met him. I didn't know him.
Yeah.
But he must have been a case, that, and he was, CU was never national champions until him.
Him.
What does that say?
Well, when I was there, it was Bobby Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
The year before that, it was his brother who went on to play for Miami.
That's right.
And they were fun to watch.
Oh, Bobby was a great guy. I actually knew Bobby pretty well.
Yeah.
We're in a movie. It's like there's a movie about bicycle racers, and Kevin Costner's in the movie. And so this is a true story. So Joe Farrell was given the job of finding extras to be in the film. And so Bobby had said that he could speak Russian. This is a true story, that he could speak Russian, and he's a jock, so he takes a Russian class or something up at CU, and he speaks about as much Russian as I do. So they hire me, they get me a job in the movie to be a media geek, be a reporter. And Bobby, because it's about international racing, Bobby is a Russian reporter. This is a true story. So we had to run up this hill next to the bikes as they were coming in, and I was to talk to this one guy's the bad guy bike rider, and Bobby was supposed to talk Russian to the Russian rider. So they did about 5 takes. Well, Anderson's a pro football player. I mean, the guy's like, but he's got this guy who's playing his cameraman, his shooter, who is not in shape. I'm being kind. And I was in great shape. I didn't have anything except a handheld microphone and some kid to run with me. And he was a legger. He could do it too. But Bobby's like dragging this guy up the hill. So we did it like 5 times, like 5 takes. And Bob, by this time, Bob's killing this guy. He's pulling this guy up the hill. So now he has to speak Russian. And he's, it's like, sounds like pig Latin. And I was calling him Bullet. And I say, Bullet, I said, you speak Russian? He went, no, but we had the job that he's in. But if you get a chance to see the movie.
What's it called?
What the hell's the name? I can't even think of it now. I can't think of it.
Bullet?
No. Bullet was, what the hell was the name of that movie? It was Kevin Costner's a bike rider. And I get a check from these guys about once a year. American Flyers.
Okay. I think I remember.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And I get I get a check for about $3 about once a year for being an actor but it was Bobby Anderson and I, but I remember we had to run up this hill because they called it the Hell of the West or something was the name of the race. It was a big climb in Boulder and outside of Boulder, climb up this hill.
The fun thing going to the games on Saturday is everyone in the whole stadium knew what the play was.
Oh.
Bobby would take the hike, he would roll to the right, and then he'd run for a touchdown. Or he'd roll to the left and he'd run for a touchdown.
He's a great guy. I mean, he was really a good guy. And he had a bar in Glendale, and like, who didn't have a bar in Glendale? But he had a bar in Glendale. But
well, I did hear the rumor. We moved to Kansas City shortly after we graduated, and there was always the rumor that he lived in a tiny apartment on Colfax and Broadway, somewhere down there, downtown, and he was there forever, and he was at peace at that place.
Hey, I don't know that. He married a really very wealthy woman.
So he was smart.
Oh, he's way smart. But I remember we were in this goofy movie together, and but I remember he had told the acting somebody who hired the actors or whatever it was that he could speak Russian.
That's so funny.
Because he had taken some Russian courses. He probably never went to class and probably got an A, but.
Yeah, and I sit on a bench for the Nuggets at 5'7".
Yeah, right. but Bobby and I running that hill and he's killing this kid, and I'm going, Bullet, you're going to kill this kid. Oh, he's going to make it.
When I called, I was thinking, there's so much going on that you're talking about, but this is the only day, maybe the next week, where I can call in and talk about somebody who will rarely be spoken about down the road.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Like you said, for 20 years down the road, this will still be a conversation. And then, did you know that his son-in-law, I don't know if they ever got married. He went on to be a coach for the Chiefs. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he's still there anymore.
Yeah. No. You know what? I got to make a phone call and catch up and find out where he is. He would be a great radio show.
Oh my God.
And put him on, and we'll talk about that American Flyers movie, because it was young Kevin Costner, was Ray Dong Chong. I remember she was in the movie. And we were like hanging out with them and they were really hanging out with Bobby because they knew he's a ball player. Me, I was just like Joe nothing, but we did. And they had some woman reporter, and then some guy that played this guy.
Oh, that was the big bicycle back then.
Oh, it was huge.
And okay, one last thing.
Yes.
I'll take your nothing any day.
Yeah, you're kind. You take care. Thanks, man. All right, we close to a turnaround. 2 minutes. Okay, then let's start this call, and we'll see what happens. Don, you're on the show. We got 2 minutes. I may have to put you on hold. Welcome.
No problem. I'm going to say this about YMCA. It's a gay anthem,
of course,
but it's an anthem that appeals to the masses
as well.
You now have more gay anthems that are more explicit, especially with the rise of you had RuPaul in the 90s, but the one that's really hitting strides is this Chapel Roan young lady with Good Luck Babe and Pink Pony Club, which are more explicit.
See, I don't know. I don't know those songs, but I know. By the way, I love your. Thank you for calling. I'm going to keep you. The Village People are going to perform at Donald Trump's inauguration. Yes or no for you? Is this a good thing or a bad thing, or who cares?
Donald Trump likes the song, and a lot of people do like the song regardless. So, big deal to me.
See, I'm like you. But I also believe it is a gay song.
It's inspired by the YMCA with the Young Men's Christian Association, where guys saw, hey, young man and all that. I'll make this into a nice hit for the village people, and it'll become a gay anthem in itself.
But wasn't it early on? And again, because they did Macho Man. I was trying to, I mean, they trended. At least I always thought that even the guys. Let me put you on hold. I'll bring you back.
Yes.
Can we do that? Let me do that. All right, so we can do the turnaround. The Village People performing Donald Trump's inauguration. There's a feud now about that song. Should it be played? Hang on. 710 KNUS. We are Denver's talk station. Almost time to say good afternoon. Afternoon, everybody. It wasn't just one hit. It was many hits. Village People in the Navy. Saturday afternoon, 710 KNUS. Sing along. Here we go. In the Navy. Navy. Village People will perform at Donald Trump's inauguration, and people are upset. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Saturday, the 18th of January. I'm Peter Boyles. The weather, cold snow, 4 below zero tonight, 6 below tomorrow night, and 8 below the night after that. And so you know it's cold outside. Got a great caller on the line. This started out, well, the Village People did YMCA. Donald Trump likes the and his inauguration likes the YMCA. So they bring in the Village People, and there seems to be now like more than one edition of the Village People out there working, and everybody's upset now, and everybody's mad.
Yeah.
And this is a good caller, and he is from Colorado Springs. His name is Don. All right, Don. Because there's in the YMCA, in the Navy, Macho Man.
Yeah.
Those are gay songs.
They're gay songs, but they can also be interpreted as men's songs.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially in the Navy. I mean, at the time, you couldn't serve in the Navy if you were gay.
No, you could
at the time.
In the military period.
Yeah, exactly. But we're focusing on the Navy. You're right about the military,
yeah.
But since we're focusing on the Navy, and Village People did a song called "The Navy," that's why I kind of zeroed in on that. But otherwise, you're correct. And I should also say, I think the lead vocalists of the Village People, I think there were two of them well known. Neither of them were gay. Well, they were straight.
Oh, the guy shows up with his wife, Philippe Rose, who was performing as.
Well,
let me read it to you. I just went and checked it. Philippe Rose is now 70. Was performing as the Native American. Remember, there was an Indian. And
yes,
his famous.
So he's straight too.
Yeah, yeah, and it goes all these guys, and and who else is? But
I knew the lead vocalists. Both of them not at the same time. I knew both of them were straight.
Yeah, Morelli, Morali.
Yeah.
Was here. He even writes a thing about it, and he's straight. Shows up with his old lady. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, but one of the backing vocalists, I thought they were all, but I guess I'm wrong about that.
According to what I read just this morning, because I didn't realize the show was that people were going to talk about it, but I heard on another talk show that Kid Rock actually opened up for, not opened up, but he was at Barack Obama's first inauguration. Okay, I didn't know that.
And that was before Kid Rock came out in support of Trump years later.
Huh.
So he did it for country. So maybe, and Jackie Evancho, of course, came out with first Trump, and one of her siblings has gone trans.
But here's my question. I don't get the argument. I don't understand the argument about the Village People even performing there. I don't get it. I mean, I listen to these.
It's tribalism, basically. I mean, if you're not in the program, you're not with Barbara Streisand, you're not with Norman Lear, who's passed away. All of this. It's part of the tribe. It's this civil war of sorts, not with guns, but I mean with ideas.
I mean,
so I mean, you know, it's all being part of it's the group think. I mean, and you're a classic example of how you don't think like the group. You always think like Peter Boyles.
Well, when it turns out, I don't know how many of these guys. Well, it says in this piece that this is from in the Daily Mail that they recruited the original. Here, I'll just read this to you. Village People were started in 1977 by a French music producer, Henri Bello, and Jacques Morali, who recruited the original members from New York City's gay scene. They hired Willis as a singer to adapt lyrics from French to English and to co-write songs. He and the rest of the lineup remained in place until '79. Willis left during pre-production of a musical film, Can't Stop the Music. And why, I don't remember that. There are another 5 bands formed a company called SIXUVUS, agreeing to carry on performing the next 3 decades in exchange for 5% royalty. And then Willis comes back, takes control. But the guy, that's the guy that played the Indian, played the Native American. But they played, were they not playing like stereotypes, like macho construction workers and cops and bikers? And I mean, they were playing a role where that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that I would agree. I mean, you know, this is the kind of, you know, a lot of the songs were about men in all various forms, you know, but I mean, you know, it wasn't necessarily about gay culture, or at least in your face gay culture, not like what we have, like I said, with those artists I mentioned earlier. I mean, of course, you got RuPaul, who was able to mainstream himself. And then you have this drag performer who's a woman, but not a guy, but she likes the culture. Chappell Roan, who had a hit with Good Luck Babe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically it's, she's upset that her girlfriend, who, you know, kind of was doing in the sack, was hanging out with men, you know, or dating a guy, you know. And then, of course, there's a song being played on the radio called Pink Pony Club, which is also kind of in your kind of bluntly LGBTQ themes. So, but Village People, I mean, it was just tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
but it was basically about men in general, macho men. YMCA, the Young Men's Christian Association, which it was named after. And then of course, in the Navy, you know, hey, you know, could have been a good song to promote the recruitment of men in the Navy, but probably not used because of who they are.
Doesn't it seem like there's a trend, a theme? When the only song that I ever thought, and this is interesting, when I was a disc jockey, and you had to listen to records, but Sam Cooke, the late great Mr. Sam Cooke, he did a song about twisting, and he said, and there was a line in there that this guy was dancing with, quote, an older queen. And Bob Lee and I talked about it. I said, is he talking about what I think he's talking about? And it was dancing with an older queen. And I said, is that what Sam Cooke means in putting that song out? Is it, you know, is that moment? And, you know, you can do anything with anything. But
I mean, my first impression is an older woman, but maybe you know something that I don't.
But a queen, using that term, is a real street thing about, you know, being a queen. You know,
a drag.
Yeah.
Are you saying it's implying to be a drag queen?
No, just an older gay guy.
Fascinating.
It was derogatory to say queen, and yet. Wonder if I can find that song. It's Sam Cooke.
But now you're taking the term drag queen, and now that's like I said, that's being twisted.
That was
thanks to Chappell.
But that
what I'm saying is, What I'm saying is chaperone is a woman who likes drag queen culture and drag queen shows, but she's a woman, and she's taking it on as a woman.
If you read the history of Shakespeare, young boys played women.
Correct.
And none of this is there's none of it that's original. But dance twist.
I agree.
I tell you, the song is called "Twisting the Night Away." It just hit me in the boom. So see if you can, Adam, see if you can find that, and we'll see if we can find that line. And I always thought, what, because I'm a Sam Cooke fan, and I thought, wow, did he just say what I thought he just said? But remember, through all that stuff, they had to hide everything, from Liberace to Salminio. They had to hide this. And so I'm thinking, but here it is. Here it is. So it is the Village People, are they gay guys?
Yes and no. There may be those are gay, but there are those that are straight, and those.
I mean, I think it's gay songs. I mean, and I'm not Village People.
They're gay songs, and then they're not gay songs.
We'll let it go with that.
Yeah,
but they are. They are.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good one.
Great call, man. Thank you. Yeah. For the first time, there's two lines open. We go to Dwayne. Dwayne, you're on a radio show. Good afternoon.
Hey, hi, Pete. It's been a while since I talked to you. We've met more than once on motorcycle gigs.
Cool.
But I just wanted to, is it okay to say something about Coach Mack?
Of course.
Okay, I met Coach about, 3 different times. I walked into McDonald's where I had coffee, and Coach Mack was sitting there, and I went over to him. I said, I just really appreciate your coaching, blah, blah, blah. And we ended up having a meeting probably 3 or 4 times with breakfast.
Wow.
And I said, what are you doing right here? Because it wasn't far from my house, because he, living with his daughter in Boulder. And anyway, well, actually Westminster, I believe. But anyway, he said, here, sit down and join me. He's such a cool man. And he invited me over to this little fellowship that he was going to, a little church in an office building, right? I've been in the building many times. And I said, what's going on? He said, we have a fellowship where I come every Sunday. And he wasn't the pastor, but he'd give some kind of a scripture verse and then talk a few minutes about it. But anyway, it wasn't more than 30 people. And here's a guy with this stature that was so humble. And we really never talked football so much. I'm from Lincoln. I've been out here forever. But, he goes, you're Big Red. I said, well, I am. Yeah. I said, you grow up in Nebraska. That's the way it is. And anyway, I had tickets for 13 years. Had no idea I'd be meeting him. And just a very humble guy. Didn't talk football so much. It was more about his life experiences and his daughter.
I'll tell you, those guys loved him, and I never met him.
You would have really enjoyed conversation.
No, they really, really, really liked him, and I think when you're in a situation like that, when you have somebody, you have to look up to them if they're going to manage part of your life. You have to have respect, and you have to look up. And according to CJ, he sure had that. He had that. And
I guess I guess the biggest thing was his humility, invited me to sit down.
Yeah,
there were other people there. Sure. And I just went over and told him how much I enjoyed his coaching and his team. And he said, here, why don't you sit down and have breakfast with me?
Sure.
Well, that developed a little bit of a friendship. And so we met 3-4 different times there. And right across the street was this little fellowship. So I started going. I'm like, here's this dude. He could be anywhere. And he's in this little fellowship driving from Westminster in his little Jetta. And I was like, wow. So guys like that, you meet other guys and they won't give you the time of day. Right. And here you got a guy like, I've met you. You're the same way, Pete. I met you you sat down one time with me and you said, here, I said, I was having a hamburger and French fries, and you took a few fries. You said, "I don't have herpes or AIDS," and I just died.
Probably.
I mean, you remind me a lot of Mac. You really do.
Wow. One of the things I've learned after being able to survive in front of the microphone is the bigger name that the guy is, the better the guy is. It's the guy that has exceeded, and he is the guy that you and I are talking about. It's the guy.
Well, you as well, though.
Well, that's
you as well.
But it's the guy that's made it about halfway up the pole, or has an impression of himself or herself, and you just don't you don't even want to be in the room. There's a line that says never meet your idols. Never meet the people you hold in esteem, because familiarity breeds contempt. I think Freud said that. But and if you're around people and the really big name people, I have found them to be always just tremendous, really, really good. And then you meet people that you wish you had never met because you held them in esteem.
Exactly.
And then you meet them and you go, oh man, but I've told the stories about when I was working with Bob and we had that first hit show on.
Is that Larson, Bob Larson?
Bob Lee on
Bob Lee from KOA.
Yeah, but we were together on KLAK, and Steve. We interviewed Steve Allen, and he did. I was just in awe of Steve Allen, and Steve Allen was the most squared away guy, and so there it is, and that's. And then
one last tidbit. Have you heard about where it's service, or is there going to be one, or is it private?
On
about Coach Mac?
I don't know.
On Coach Mac?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll find out. One last tidbit.
Sure.
Can you, was the movie on Ellenberg, is that pretty factual? I want to go see it.
It's not even in the ball game, but they bought Kevin Flynn's book. It's like going to a car lot.
Sure.
I buy a Cadillac. Now it's mine. I can paint it green. I can turn it up. Whatever. No, even the stuff about killing Allen was. No, I mean I went, and Kevin was kind enough to take me, and I sat next to him and so we could kibitz a little bit, and I could ask him questions, but the way they capture them and everything. No,
should I go see it then, or no?
No, not at all. But I mean, I'm glad somebody made a movie about what happened, but it wasn't truthful, or it isn't truthful.
Well, I go way back with you guys to in the early '80s with Alan on KOA. He did bring up a lot of controversy.
Oh, listen, I got a break. Dwayne, thanks, man. 303-696-1971. You stay here. Here we are. Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Snow, cold, 4 below. Stay close to a warm radio. -6 tomorrow night and -8 on Monday. So now you know. And the boys, Jeffy is in D.C. and Billy's here. And that'll be a good show next week. So the guys are covering the inauguration. So during this conversation about the Village People performing at Donald Trump's inaugural and whether or not it's a gay group and trends gay. So I was thinking about songs, and was a Sam Cooke song. And I remember when I was a disc jockey, and Sam had a great line about a guy in blue jeans dancing with an older queen. Well, that was like a street thing as well. So Adam Walker, who is the up-and-coming producer of the year, he finds the cut. And I said, well, let's play it on the air, and you tell me what you think. So, and I'm a huge Sam Cooke fan, the late, great Mr. Sam Cooke. And this is from Dancing the Night Away. And kick that in. Let's listen. What's that? And roll. Twisting the night away. Love Sam Cooke. But there it is. See? What do I know? For the first time since 9 o'clock this morning, we have wide open lines. 303-696-1971. We're talking about the first 100 days of Donald Trump, Donald Trump's promises, the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire, and of course, the Village People. How can you not, huh? There's a lineup. So lines are open, and also Coach McCartney. Ski resorts are experiencing the best snow conditions in forever. It's cold up there right now, boy. Woo. I don't know, want to be up there 26 below on the top, right? Making it a perfect time for you and your skis and your snowboards. If you didn't get what you wanted for the holidays, you go get new gear. Make sure you go see John Marriott and the guys at Larson Ski and Sport, south of I-70 on Kipling. So when you're looking to rent or buy equipment, Larson's got you covered. They're dedicated to providing you with the best skiing experience possible. The convenience of Larson's is unbeatable. The perfect stop on your way up or down the mountain. So you find them, the large wooden building, and you're coming, say you're going eastbound this time on 70, get off on that Kipling exit. You come down the ramp, make a left, go back underneath. There's a tunnel under I-70. When you come out on the other side, look to the right, and there you'll see it. They're there 7 days a week. The people know what they're doing. Boards, skis, cross country, warm clothes, gloves, helmets, goggles, mittens, whatever you need, whatever you want. Tune-ups, it's there. Fixing bindings, it just doesn't matter. They will do it. So 7 days a week, and they also rent, of course, rent skis. John, and they rent boards. And John and the guys at Larson's are absolute experts at everything that you need for winter sports. Stop in today and tell them that I sent you. Larson Ski and Sports, south of I-70 on Kipling. You can't miss them. They're good, good, good people. 303-423-0654, 303-423-0654, or Larson, Larson, larsonsport.com. All right, let's do this. We'll start on line one with Dean. Dean, you're on the radio show. Lines are full. Thank you for calling.
Good morning. Thank you.
Morning to you.
Hey, just quickly, a couple things. Dancing Queen, that doesn't necessarily equate to, like a drag queen. I mean, ABBA had the song Dancing Queen, where they're simply referring to a young girl who basically lives for dancing.
But he says older queen. It doesn't matter. It was just a point of interest. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, 100 days of Trump. I hate to say it. I hate to believe it. I hate to think it. But I, with the agenda he has, I don't see how he can last. If you know where I'm heading.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down last night. I was because I wanted to do it as a topic, but talk radio runs away from you all the time. But his deportations, it's believed. Now I'm just telling you what's printed, but the Wall Street Journal says Tuesday, Chicago will be the first target. They're bringing in 200 officers, and the roundups will begin in Chicago. One of the principal promises that Donald Trump made campaigning was to do exactly that, to do the deportations. Let's see, will he be able to do that? Go ahead.
Promising to completely seal that border. Okay, and you think about that. You think about what that means. In reality, I hate to use the term, but I believe he will be assassinated within the first year.
You know,
and my prediction is it will be a rogue individual from the Secret Service, and the Secret Service will just take the fall. Will say, "Oops, this is our fault. This is our bad. We're sorry," and that's the end of it.
You know, that's even horrible to talk about. I don't. Again,
we're going to find out where we are as a country when that happens.
Well, I just finished. There's a new book out, Belcher's new book. I didn't realize that there was an assassination attempt on John Kennedy even before, after he was elected, but wasn't sworn in. And the same guy was Clint Hill and all those guys that ended up in the assassination in Texas. But they stopped this lunatic who had a trunk full of dynamite, and he had driven the dynamite down to Florida, and he was going to kill Jack Kennedy. And that was, I've never read that before, but it was a previous assassination attempt. Donald Trump spent the last couple of years making these campaign promises, and he says what he is going to enact on his first day in office. Immigration going to begin mass deportation in our country. Will he do that? What do you think?
I agree with all of those promises. I have been saying for years the abuse of the birthright citizenship needs to go away.
Yeah.
But you really think about that, sealing the border completely sealing the border and ending. My gosh, I'm in my car here. I'm losing my train of thought. Ending birthright citizenship.
Yes.
Will that be allowed to happen?
Well,
and I say no. I say it will be stopped.
Well, the 14th Amendment is what you're talking about. Anyone born in this country is automatically granted citizenship, and it was laid out in the 14th. Donald Trump, of course, wants to change that. Will he, or can he? It's interesting to listen to what's said and then to try and realize, or to try and, will this really happen? And and he's got a lot to do. He's made the promises. He's going to pardon the January 6th defendants, end the war in Ukraine, which I think he can do. The tariffs.
Those things are all small potatoes, to steal that term from The Godfather.
Yeah.
If anyone truly believes that border is going to be completely sealed All drugs are going to be stopped.
Well,
All human trafficking is going to be stopped. The cheap labor is going to be stopped. It's not going to be allowed to happen. Would I love to see it happen? Yes, but it's not going to be allowed to happen.
But if
they will put a stop to him.
So Donald Trump, when he promises this stuff, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, and I hope, like you, that he can shut that border down. But the 25% tariffs on products imported from Mexico and Canada, and those are America's biggest trading partners, or two of the biggest trading partners. And so he said, this is a quote, January 20th, my first executive order, I'll sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada 25% tariff on all products. Is that a smart thing, or is it not a smart thing?
It's smart enough to answer that at the moment.
Okay. Well, that's another.
The things we would love to see, unfortunately, are going to cause a tremendous amount of pain. Are we willing to go through that pain? I am.
Yeah. And then.
Okay, Peter, I have to jump.
All right, Bubba, be safe. Thanks, man. All right, we go to Perry in Littleton. Hey, Perry, you're on the show, man. Thank you.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Perry.
I laugh when you say village people, because I was a teenager and I was in my first job, and it was a construction labor. I don't know if people think because of that, I'm supposed to love every single thing they ever did. But truthfully, I thought they were dumb, and they just didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything for me,
Yeah.
And I think it's funny. I think it's funny. It's strange that here's a Trump, and he's one. I guess he's one of their favorite groups, or
Yeah, he likes them a lot. Yeah.
And so, they never did anything for me. It's like Boy George from.
Yeah. Well, but that's why I worked in. I was a disco jock, and I worked in a couple different discotheques playing tunes, and that was the day when you could do that stuff, and we would play that song. I mean, people liked that song, and they would do all the things with their hands and make the. And then when my daughter was a little girl on Saturdays, we would go to Skate City. They always played YMCA, and the kids would do the thing with their hands, making an A and making a Y, and So, but I think if you look at their music, they trend or tend to be a gay group. I don't care about it, but this is what people are upset about, that this gay group is playing at Donald Trump's inauguration.
Well, it's probably liberal gays, Democrat liberal.
Yeah, they're probably mad because they're doing it. Absolutely. I mean, but apparently there is a conservative faction or factor that doesn't like the idea of these gay guys playing as well. So
there is.
Yeah.
Did you see Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar?
No, but I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved Whoopi's answer, and the look on Joy's face was priceless.
Well, I'm so sick of those. but as long as they get ratings, they stay on the show.
I don't know how. I don't know how they do it. I mean, how long ago did Barbara Wawa?
Believe it or not, I mean, she made a lot of money and she did good, and she was on a long time.
Yeah. Retired.
Listen, just using this show as an example, Yeah, I know. There's no substitute for taste. You know, it's like if you pull it off, you pull it off. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah, I watched for a while, but I don't know, I just got tired of it. And
you should. Yeah. You should.
It'll probably be on 100 years like The Simpsons.
Yeah, well, because the Simpsons work. You know, that's why.
Yeah.
All right, real quick.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite person on The Simpsons?
Oh, I was going to say, who's your favorite Village people? I like the biker.
I like the biker. Who's your favorite person on The Simpsons?
Oh gosh, I don't know. They get away with the poo and who else?
Adam, who's your favorite? Mine's Ralph Wiggum, the police chief's son. Is my favorite.
I like Nelson, the guy who goes
Nelson the bully. Yeah, his mother's a stripper. Yeah, Nelson. Yeah, he just did it too. Nelson. Yeah, I used to be like Milhouse. I always felt an affinity with Milhouse. I got the music here. I'm cutting it off. Good afternoon, everybody. We do a quick turnaround and come back. 710 KNUS Saturday, and it is cold outside. 710 KNUS. Stay here.
At this hour, I'm Christina Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. The recent underground tunnel stemming from Ciudad Juarez and leading into El Paso, Texas, has been linked to Mexican drug cartels who are using sophisticated construction methods, according to experts. The tunnel that was recently discovered has sparked major concerns among residents. It was found near the border highway, runs under the Rio Grande, is supported by beams and plywood, and links into El Paso's sewer system. According to Border Patrol, of the more than 230 tunnels found along the U.S.-Mexico border in the last few decades, most of them attached to some kind of infrastructure in the U.S. The tunnels are said to cost millions of dollars, making it evident that criminal organizations with significant cash inflow are the ones constructing them. Border Patrol also pointing out that the tunnels work both ways, with possible money, ammo, and weapons heading into Mexico, with drugs or humans crossing into the U.S. BP Oil Company is cutting 4,700 jobs worldwide and 3,000 contractor roles as part of a cost-saving drive. The CEO sent an email to staff saying that the job losses, quote, account for much of the anticipated reduction this year. The company said it would cut costs by at least $2 billion by the end of 2026 to boost returns and address investor concerns over its energy transition strategy. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Aguayo, Salem News Channel.
Afternoon, everybody. Saturday, we got a few minutes left in the show. Back here next Saturday at 9. And, of course, Jeff and Billy, they got coverage of the inauguration for the next 3-4 days. It's cold outside. My kids are sending me text. Back to the phones we go with full lines. We go to Francis. Hey, Francis, you waited. You're on the show. Good afternoon.
Hey, Peter. Hey,
Bubba.
to a serious point here, how is your favorite Simpsons character not Mo? I mean, come on, that guy, he's the best.
I love Mo, and remember he said it's a little habit I picked up in the Navy. Remember when they were making flaming Mo's? Remember flaming Mo's?
Yes.
And he was putting.
Do you remember what religion he was?
Cough medicine.
He was a snake handler. You remember?
Oh yeah,
once a snake handler, always a snake
once a snake handler, homo always a snake handler. But there's some about Ralph Wiggum, man. I love Ralph.
Ralph is an interesting character because, the Simpsons was pretty bold. I mean, to include characters who are like, a little bit slow, like Ralph, things like that, and boozy like Krusty the Clown.
Love Krusty. Krusty's a nut.
Oh man!
But how about when Ralph Wiggum said, "The leprechaun told me to burn it."
Yes. Oh my God, that's right.
That was
the leprechaun told me to. I remember that.
Told me to burn it.
Oh my God.
And sometimes Ralph was like real smart, and sometimes he's Ralph.
He had kind of like a handle on some things. Like he was kind of a. You know what character Ralph reminded me of is? Did you ever see? What was the movie? Gosh darn it! Now it's spacing it out. It's the guy who was the gardener in the White House who would make comparisons to growing things. And why can't I think of the name of this?
I got that.
And it was the guy who was It's the guy who was Inspector Clouseau.
And they thought, Peter Sellers played him. They thought he was real smart.
Yeah.
But he.
Yeah,
it's Ralph.
But I'll think of the name of the movie before I'm.
But like the.
Being there.
Being there was the film, but it was. All the Simpsons people fit in. Barney, I mean, remember when he was Mr. He was Mr. Plow,
Yes.
And they're just and Homer screwed him up because he got him drinking in high school. It was.
Yep.
Barney used to be real smart.
Yeah, and when he quit drinking, he kind of regained all of his coordination.
He did, and then he got drunk, and then he got cooked again. You called for a reason. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Well, to kind of segue, all right. We're looking at Trump, inauguration and stuff like that. But the Simpsons, remember, predicted a Trump presidency way back in the day. So
absolutely.
But I think that people are going to have to get their expectations aligned with reality, and it's going to take a little more than they think, because I honestly, it kind of bugs me because I think people have been a byproduct of a poor education system, certainly on civics lessons and things. You're not going to eliminate birthright citizenship without an amendment to the Constitution, which is going to require a huge uphill battle. I think the only actual amendment that was repealed was prohibition.
That's it.
And you're never gonna get there. And plus, there's actual reasons for this. Like most of the Americas have birthright citizenship because guess what? This was an unpopulated area of the world for a long time. Yeah. People who were born here naturally have an affinity for being aligned, assigned, and a part of the land they were born in.
Yes.
Look, Trump can sit there and say it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous if somebody is able to set one foot on the property and then have a kid.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. But the problem is the actual realities of it are legit. And, I know there's people who are hanging from the rafters out there who want to, have 20 million people instantly deported. It ain't going to happen. And get your head screwed on, folks.
Well,
it's not going to happen.
I made my list, and I don't know if it's an accurate list or not, but it's the Trump promises, and the first one, of course, is deportation, immigration. And he promises that Tuesday, this is this morning in the Wall Street Journal, Trump, the headline, Trump to begin large-scale deportations on Tuesday. Chicago will be early target. 200 officers being sent to carry out the operation. Let's see what happens then. Because that's the showdown.
I'm not against deporting people who are criminals and things like this. Who is in favor of keeping them around? I mean, you'd have to be out of your tree to support something stupid like that. But the bottom line is economics too. You can't. There is a large, and it's both parties' problem and both parties' fault. Our economy is built heavily on a bunch of illegal immigrant labor. And, you know, if you could instantly wave a wand and deport 20 million illegal immigrants, the economy would absolutely tank.
Yeah.
It wouldn't improve anything. It'd make everybody's lives who are actual citizens much more miserable.
Well, that's it. Like I said,
But are
Tuesday.
people so stupid they can't see that?
Keep an eye on Tuesday because that's the first go around. And
I get it.
Donald Trump and the mayor. That's going to be a showdown.
The Chicago mayor.
Yeah, no, Brent.
You know what? I wonder if it isn't a feint. I wonder if they're not going to actually try to deport people in another city, perhaps even Denver, and let Chicago get all, you know, goosed up and worried about it, and then have agents show up here and get everybody gone. Because here we've got a much weaker, kind of more simpleton mayor than Chicago and Trump. They don't get along at all.
No.
And you know, Johnston and Trump wouldn't get along at all. But Johnston's a lightweight.
Yeah, he's
pathetic. He's a
not
pathetic person.
He is. There's so many things to be said that pertaining to him and descriptions, and he's an intellectual lightweight, number one, but he's also, a total elitist, and his eyes are on the prize, and they certainly aren't staying mayor of Denver. But he is just
he's just your typical well-meaning, addle-headed, God. I mean, his heart's in the right place, his head's up his butt. That's it.
Yeah,
what else can you say?
I tell you who he does. He's channeling not RFK Jr. but RFK, and he's got the sleeves rolled up, the tie pulled down. He pushes his hair over. He's a channel for Bobby Kennedy, and I find these people despicable. But like I said, until the Republicans and Democrats alike see it, then things will change in the city of Denver. But remember, I just got done writing a column about it. There are 3 people on city council that wanted to have heroin injection. They voted to broaden out the needle exchange boxes, and the one thing the mayor did is he vetoed that. I'm told, I don't know this, but I'm told that in these packages now that there very well may be a crack pipe. So, that's
unbelievable.
No, but
you enable the addiction even further with the implement to use.
Yeah, the pipes are there. Pipes are there.
Are people out of their minds, Peter? That's nuts. That's nuts, man. Why don't you just give them a loaded gun and have them play Russian roulette?
If anything that you want more of, subsidize. And that's a basic economic, rule. If you want more of something, subsidize it. I'm on the wall. I'm getting yelled at. Thank you, man.
Later.
Good call. That's about. Really, we can get Cap. All right, Cap. We got 1 minute. Cap, you're on the show. You're up. Go.
Hey, Peter. Good morning.
Hey, man.
Hey, toss up for me on The Simpsons. We've got a comic book guy, which I believe has passed away a few years ago.
I thought comic book. Did he die? I thought comic book man was still alive.
No, I think he passed away. They had a funeral episode. I believe.
All right.
Long time ago, but we'll just say at the end of the year we'll say, "Worst presidency ever," and
love it.
And then my other toss up would be Willie the groundskeeper.
Oh well, groundskeeper Willie. He's
come on.
He's Scottish.
The Halloween episode with Bart. He gets possessed and The
Yeah.
boys got the shimmin'.
We got to do a Simpson show. Now they're telling me 30 seconds. Great way to end the show. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, everybody. I'll see you next Saturday morning. And again, Billy and Jeff will be covering the inaugural, and Adam Walker did a wonderful job. And thanks, everybody. Stay warm. I'll see you Saturday, 9 a.m., 710 KNUS.